I've gotten to like an hour and a half. Oh, sorry.
Cheers, everyone. We have an hour and a half. But anyhow, good evening, everyone. Thanks to Horror Hangouts. And our newbie tonight has already ingratiated himself with everyone. Everyone, please welcome Sean Moe. He's another one of our contributors on Substack. And he's making his debut tonight, and he is starting off with a bang, for sure.
Is that what we're calling it? Okay.
Yeah, I'm sticking to that.
It's all about the intro. It's all about
yes. It. And that's probably the best intro we've ever had now. So I'll go down as one of the most memorable. But of course, also joining to me tonight, we have Skyla. How are you doing this evening, Skyla?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing great. We have Molly. She's, of course, Molly Oblivion, back again.
Hello.
She's tired. She's still working on like 12 finals she's been working on.
Running on about 2 hours of sleep over 2 days, so this should be fun.
Wow. Yes, it should be. Of course, we've got Yanni from the Macabre Tavern. How's it going, Yanni?
Oh, we're alive. We're here.
Yeah, we certainly are at that. We're not... Well, actually, we're talking from the dead. We were all involved in a vicious plane accident. And talking to you from the depths of hell right now. But we're still doing well, all things considered. It's, of course, weather, depending on where you're living at, certainly feels like it's hell outside. So, 100 degrees where I'm living, so.
It's only 100?
Yeah. Only 100? Yeah. Didn't get to 105 yet, but. Also, we've got returning to the show, Kyle. How's it going, Kyle?
Good. Thank you for having me back.
Excellent. Good to see you.
I know. I hated missing last month.
Well, he's going to make up for it because I know what his topic is, and it's something that we had talked about last episode, so I'm curious to hear his thoughts on the subject. And, of course, last but certainly not least, we have Kimberly from the Horror Concierge, also on Substack. How's it going? Always great to have you, Kimberly.
Thank you, as always. Hot as hell here in Florida.
I think it always is, it seems like. Okay, so anyhow, for tonight, what we're going to do, because I'm not sometimes smart enough to think of one big overall subject, sometimes I know that my co-contributors here are equally, if not more, shall I say, they're smarter than I am, let's just say that. So they can come up with some good stuff, and all of them have. So we're going to go ahead and start with you, Yanni. Since I know you have to leave a little earlier, what's the topic you wanted to discuss tonight?
Well, it's going to be something that I'm going to do in September on my Substack, and that is, it's going to be a black and white September. I am, for those of you who don't know, I am a sucker for black and white movies. A lot of my favorite movies are all in black and white, you know, coming from the 1920s all the way up to about the 1960s. And horror played a big role in a lot of the black and white film. And the reason why I love black and white horror is you didn't get all the gore. Because at the time, you know, we were under the code, basically, of morality codes. And you couldn't show the murders. You had to, you know, and even things like Dracula's daughter, you couldn't show the fact that she was a lesbian. You actually had to insinuate that she leaned in that direction, but you know, you always had to have some guy. I mean, to me, that's when you really had genius. So you go back and you look at a lot of horrors, because a lot of people forget this. One of Fay Wray's last movies, if not her last movie, was actually a horror film she was in with Bela Lugosi, called The Deadliest Prey. Now that is based on a book of basically it's a hunter who has hunted big game all over the world, and he's bored, and has figured out that humans are the deadliest game, and basically a shipwreck happens, and they start hunting people. It's a very interesting watch, and it's one I believe it's one of Fay Ray's last movies.
And that's called The Deadliest Prey?
The deadliest. I think it's the deadliest game.
Game.
Okay.
Sorry, that's one on my watch list right now. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think she was about 2 or 3 years removed from King Kong. As a matter of fact.
Oh wow.
So yeah, she was in that, and then you get another historical movie that I think a lot of us love, and that is the original Night of the Living Dead.
Also in black and white, yes.
Absolutely, and if I'm not mistaken, that is the first American movie with a black lead. Dwayne Jones.
That sounds right. Yeah.
The only one I could think of, and it wouldn't be horror, would be what's that one with Sidney Poitier and In the Heat of the Night might be.
Yeah, they were within a year of each other. I know that.
Yeah, they were pretty close. So,
if I could hop back for just 1 second, it's The Most Dangerous Game from 1932. Is that okay?
Game. Yeah. And it's a great movie, by the way, if you've never seen it. That's one of my. To me, that is the first horror movie I ever watched on television. Was
The Night of the Living Dead?
Night of the Living Dead. It came on. Most of us are old enough to remember UHF. UHF station that literally would show everything from Howdy Doody reruns to professional wrestling at 11 o'clock at night.
Well, and wasn't that original? Like the movie immediately went into public domain right when it was released because of some error with the copyright. So that's why all those TV stations were like, "We can put on Night of the Living Dead again. We can use that ad nauseum."
And that's why so many horror movies made after it, characters in those movies were always watching Night of the Living Dead because it was, they didn't have to pay for it.
And then Halloween, if I'm not mistaken, I think either Halloween or Halloween 2, there was like someone's watching Night of the Living Dead. I think it was Halloween 2 now that I think about it. But
Don't quote me on this, but I think that's where Fallout actually came up with the name ghouls. Because if you remember, they called them zombies.
Really?
As a huge Fallout fan, I'm very interested in that bit of trivia, and I would like to look more into that because that's very cool.
I don't know if y'all remember that, but they called them ghouls throughout the entire movie. They never used the words. I don't think did anybody ever use the word zombie back then. Like I don't think that came into the lexicon until about the 70s, right?
Well, no, zombies have been around for a long time. They were they were very different. They were really rooted in a very specific, like religious and spiritual culture, and it was more, the actual like Walking Dead zombie that was not being controlled by like a priestess or something, I think was definitely a little bit later. Yeah,
that was more Haitian mythology.
Right.
Haitian, thank you. I was trying to think Haitian. Yeah,
that's another Bela Lugosi movie that I don't know how many people.
White Zombie.
White Zombie.
Yeah. There's I Walked with a Zombie. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but that was a really good one.
I think also had some really weird ones like Remember Cat People?
Yeah.
That one is very sexually charged. I was shocked because I remember seeing it when I was a kid, and then I went back and watched it a few years ago. I'm like, why the hell did anyone let me sit through this as a child?
Oh, I know. Seriously, but you go back to some of those black and white movies from like the 40s and the 50s, and you're going, holy crap, there's more sex in this than, implied sex.
Or rather, it was very much more, they had to be more covert with it back then. It wasn't until about roughly around the 60s during that, just a reflection of the times because we were going through the sexual revolution in the 60s and all that. And, they came up with the rating system. So now you could show a little bit more if you wanted to.
Yeah, the rating system, I believe, replaced the Hays Code, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's
what
they were all
the Hays Code.
60, yeah.
I think one of the most interesting things about black and white horror is like what you were saying, Yanni, about how they really didn't have, they couldn't prioritize gore. You know, what was it? I think it was like, it wasn't until like Hammer really started kind of, or the sort of Hammer era started doing the hyper colorized versions of these horror stories. I think it was what, like I can't remember what year it was where we finally got like Frankenstein in color. But
57.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like before then, it was very much, it was definitely more implied, and it made everything just a little bit vaguer in a way that I think was scarier. And what immediately comes to my mind is how decades and decades later, when The Mist was released, they released a black and white version of the film that, in my opinion, is so much scarier. It's a modern horror movie, but in black and white, the monsters look better. You know, you can't see quite as much detail, and it's more frightening to see it in black and white.
What is it? Carnival of Souls? I don't think it ever worked in color.
Yeah.
The fact that that movie is completely in black and white, it makes that movie a hell of a lot more unsettling to watch.
Did they colorize it? Did Ted Turner colorize it like everything he did in like?
I'm sure there's a color version hanging around.
Yeah, okay.
Ted Turner just had to shake his magic stick at. Thank God he didn't. You know, unlike the Wizard of Oz, he didn't make a wrestling character out of her. Hi, Kevin Nash.
I might be the only person who knows that reference, and that's really bad that I even know that.
But I've got really two that I think a lot of people. One of them is kind of a cult classic, and that's The Brain That Would Never Die. Which I thought
oh my God, that was the first horror movie my mom ever watched. She talks about it all the time.
I love that she just taunts him the entire freaking movie, and I'm in love with that because it's just hilarious to watch all the failures, and she's just see, dumbass. And now I love the original. I think it was The Invisible Man. I think the original Invisible Man was in black and white.
Yes, it was.
The Invisible Man.
And revolutionary effects wise.
Yeah.
And I love that movie because I mean it's just the concept of it. It makes perfect. And you're right. I mean we didn't have CGI back then, and to make somebody invisible on screen is just, you go back and you look at the time and you're just like, this is freaking mind blowing.
It really is. And it never gets less impressive, you know? Not to sound like a total Eurodite, because I'm not trying to hate on CG. I think they're, you know, I hate it less now than I did 20 years ago. But, like, at the same time, it's just so much more impressive to go back and watch, you know, those early practical effects and the camera trickery and how hard everybody worked to pull off what seemed like simple illusions. You know, you can just whip it up in like 2 seconds today, but I don't know, I think it's way more impressive back then.
Well, it's just like the Wolfman transformation scene with Lon Chaney Jr. and the Wolfman. Think about how many hours they probably had to take to pull that simple 1 minute scene to get that right.
Oh my
We're just playing with light and shadow in you know, like the Bela Lugosi's Dracula or even Nosferatu, just the way they played with light and shadow, you know, without even having to get too technical with it. And you know, it's just, I miss black and white movies. I think it's great you've chosen black and white movies for October. I think that's great.
And you know, I couldn't resist. If we're gonna do black and white movies, you know, I have to do the greatest meme of all time, which is Vincent Price.
Can I make a foreign?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Eyes Without a Face?
Oh,
oh my God.
so good.
So good.
Beautiful black and white.
Oh my God, it's yeah. But
have you not seen it, Kimberly? Kimberly, have you seen Eyes Without a Face?
Say it again?
Have you seen Eyes Without a Face?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. Sorry. I was going to say, I really feel like you need to see it. Like, that's what I was going to say. If you hadn't, you need to.
Yeah. And then maybe write something about it. Yeah, I forgot all about that, but it's really good.
Cutting out there.
Yeah, but I had to bring up the meme at least one time.
What meme?
If you've never seen it, you remember the beginning of House on Haunted Hill? Vincent Price.
William Castle? Yeah.
Yeah. And Vincent Price says, there will be drink and ghosts and murder.
Mhm.
or perhaps murder. You know, it's like, and it's become one of the greatest memes of all time on the internet. I think because it's like, how do you get me out of the house? And it's just got that scene.
Mm.
And with me, it's actually true. So, oh, oh
You
man,
know,
yeah.
but both these movies weren't in black and white. But the first time I watched Halloween and Halloween 2, I had an old black and white television in my room. One of those
Yeah.
one of those 13-inch television, and I actually watched those movies for the first time in black and white, and it's quite.
Awesome.
I mean, it was definitely it is a different experience when you watch a movie in black and white, even if it wasn't meant to be watched that way. And like, wouldn't it have been great had they actually filmed those originally in black and white? That would have like kind of looked kind of cool. I
I
might
think
think.
that's interesting because I feel like it goes back to what we were talking about before we went live. The Halloween movies are actually like a rarity in that I'm glad they're not in black and white because they look so autumnal, and I'm not. I do
Mhm.
think that you would kind of lose that a little bit without the color. So
I
it's
was
interesting though. I'd be curious. I've never seen a single Halloween movie in black and white. I'd be really curious to give that a
wasn't
shot.
by choice, you know. I had to sneak in my room to watch it in case someone like walked in. But now
Right.
you say that, Molly. I mean, Halloween does use a lot of like certain color schemes, so you're probably right.
Mhm.
It probably wouldn't work as well on black and white because
But
think
I
about
think Michael would
Suspiria
be
too would be
really,
one that wouldn't work.
yeah. Suspiria in black and white would be weird.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know my
absolutely.
favorite black and white horror film isn't classified. It's not categorized as a horror film, but I think it absolutely is, and that's George Cukor's Gaslight.
Yes.
And
Mm.
that's one that I think again, like you could do some interesting things with it in color, like playing with the actual light itself. But again, it goes back to the light and shadow, and it's a very psychological horror film. And I don't know, I love that it's in black and white. I really hope we never get a remake of it that turns it into a more sort of colorful thing. But yeah, I would also say that is a really good choice for like Halloween time, black and white.
Yeah.
Not quite horror, but in my opinion, it's a fucking horror movie. So
Close
And,
enough.
and on the same term of movies that wouldn't work in color, I'm so glad David Lynch did Eraserhead in black and white.
hmm
Hmm.
I think that movie would
That's a great example.
in color. Yeah.
hmm
I feel like
Night of
color,
the
yeah, color would
Hunter.
have made Eraserhead more cartoonish. It would have turned it into a horror comedy or something rather than like how he wanted us to absorb that and for it to
Yeah.
not leave us for weeks after we saw it the first time. I don't know if that anybody else had that happen to them too with
Oh my
Eraserhead.
God, yes. I still
I
have
think
nightmares.
even his Elephant Man, I think benefits from being in black
hmm
and white. Well,
Mhm.
Yeah,
there may be a color version of that. I've never seen it, but have you all seen Night of the Hunter?
Yes.
I
That's
haven't
another
yet.
No,
not
I
I
don't think so.
necessarily
haven't.
No.
horror. It's more like Southern Gothic thriller, I guess. It's like a serial killer under the guise of being a preacher that's trying to like murder these two kids to get to money or whatever. It's Robert Mitchum, but it's
Oh, I like Robert
excellent.
Mitchum.
Love
Yeah,
Robert Mitchum.
excellent,
And Shelley
excellent.
Winters.
I'm sorry.
And Shelley Winters.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and it's Charles Laughton who played the Hunchback. It was the
Oh,
one film. It was the one film he directed, and it was a masterpiece. So he only made one. He was a one and done director. But yeah, it's an awesome Southern Gothic noir. Really, really good.
it's
It's
been on my watch
yeah,
list for a really long time.
great book too. But yeah, it's a must see for sure. So, but again, not necessarily like I wouldn't necessarily classify as horror though, but it's definitely horror adjacent for sure.
When was the last time that we had a horror movie deliberately released in black and white?
Oh,
Like
I
in
got this. I've
recent.
been waiting to mention this. The Werewolf by Night, which is a Marvel property, but it came out on Disney Plus. It's called Werewolf by Night. It's all black and white. It's actually
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah,
That
it
was
was.
the
Oh,
only
okay.
movie I was thinking about.
Really?
That and
Werewolf
Psycho
Well,
by
are the
wasn't
Night.
only ones
the
I've seen.
I was gonna say wasn't the it felt like the lighthouse was in black and white.
It
Oh,
was, yeah.
oh,
Mm-hmm.
it
I
was.
Okay.
heard about
Okay,
that.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Is that a horror movie though?
I think of it as a whole. I mean,
Kind
Okay,
of.
I think people feel like it
it's.
is.
I would
yeah,
classify it under Lovecraftian for sure.
right,
Yeah,
right. Okay, yeah. I mean, if
Light.
that's like a horror movie, why can't The Lighthouse be a horror
Yeah.
movie?
but
I
it
mean, I
is.
think it's as like as much a horror movie. I mean, it's psychological horror, really.
Mhm.
You know,
And
that
it is.
has like some Lovecraftian flair to it and things like that. But
It is
Yeah.
um,
based on Poe, so I mean that kind of throws it in the more gothic type.
yeah,
So yeah, I can't
it's not
remember.
easily. I just don't think it's an easily definable movie or an easily definable genre, really. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
because it's actually really funny too. So, I mean, it's not a
Yeah.
comedy. It's interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting movie for sure.
And being the Willem Dafoe ho that I am, yeah, you know go see this one.
He's amazing in that movie. And he's fantastic in everything, but
Yes.
he's so good in that. But yeah, I was trying to think of any other black and white, like more modern horror films.
Doesn't happen very often anymore.
No.
Well, if in the '90s, I classify Pi by Darren Aronofsky as a horror movie. But
Yeah,
once
that makes
again,
sense.
it's
Yeah.
another one of those ones that's kind of like psychological thriller to horror. Once he starts drilling into his own head, though, it kind of goes horror near the end.
Well, yeah. Well,
I mean,
those are all kind of adjacent. When you use the words thriller, Lovecraftian, close enough as far as I'm concerned. So
when did
you're
Tetsuo Man? Am I pronouncing
89.
it?
Oh,
Was that
Yeah, that
89?
was a
Okay.
big.
89.
Yeah.
I thought it was around like late 80s, early 90s. So
Well,
Yeah.
and I know that it was kind of a little almost, I don't want to use the word trendy, but it was definitely more popular in the late 80s and early 90s for independent and experimental films to release in black and white. Because you also had like Dream for an Insomniac and Living in Oblivion. Those are not horror films, but I mean, those also dabbled with like the black and white thing. I think it was just more popular back then. It's weird we don't get them very often. And of course, Robert Eggers is like the only one who's done it in recent years.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Is there like I know his newer ones, his like Werewolf looks like it's black and white, but I think it's just a really grainy. The color is just really grainy, right? Like almost a grayish, just
I'm so
cast.
sorry. I didn't hear what movie you said. I'm so sorry.
Oh, werewolf or werewolf. I think he pronounced it's the new Eggers that's coming out this Christmas.
Oh,
The new
right, right.
werewolf.
Oh,
So,
okay.
do you all remember a movie? Did you all see it? It was highly experimental. It's the director that made Shadow of the Vampire. Speaking of Willem Dafoe, it was his
My favorite
first
Willem Dafoe
movie.
movie.
Do yeah. Oh, what is it called? But it's this like really, really, really experimental. Like I tried watching it, and it's a tough watch. But it's like one of those like it's pretty controversial. It's like a goddess that like eats herself, and I don't like. It's just kind of like a pretty
oh,
crazy movie, and I'm totally
Oh
blanking out
wow.
on the name of it. I'll have to look
oh.
it up, but it was in
Uh,
black and white.
was it 90s or 2000s?
90s, I think.
Was it Begotten?
Yeah.
Begotten. That's it. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well,
An American
and
experimental
another
horror
one that
film.
I
Oh,
can
just
usually hang with some pretty experimental movies, like kind of that lo-fi core. I mean, I was a fan of Skinamarink, and I know most people hated that movie.
Oh,
But Begotten was Kimberly shaking your head. You're like, no.
I haven't
Uh,
even seen it. It's like it keeps on getting shuffled to the bottom of my watch list. I just
Man,
can't
you
get
have
to
to
it
get
yet.
on the. You have to go into it on its wavelength. If you don't, you'll hate it. It'll be the
I
biggest
feel like I
slog
would
of your
like
life.
it.
You think you'd like it,
I feel
Skylar?
like I would like it because I like a lot of YouTube horror things.
Yeah,
I feel like it's very adjacent to that.
it's like a found footage. It's like Backrooms in a way. It
Okay.
is. It's liminal. It's
Yes.
liminal space within this house, and again, it gets into this cosmic, almost like cosmic Lovecraftian horror. From the perspective, it's like if it was like a little kid. It's like this nightmare world of this little kid, right? Who stayed up too late watching TV in like 1991 or whatever. So I dug it. It's a hard movie to recommend. And it is boring in parts. I mean, it really is. Anyone who says it's not a little boring is, I think, probably full of shit. But if you hang with it, I think it's pretty. Would I just go? Is it like a one I just want to throw on and rewatch once a year? No, absolutely not. But I think it's worth at least one watch. And I came away from it. I was like, the director, his name's Kyle something. But
that's why you like it. Now we know you're just
just
a Kyle lover.
Yeah, I love but I definitely was interested in see what he would do next, which I don't think he's done anything since then. So, but anyway,
one of and this is probably the last one I do. One of my favorite, because I love Lars von Trier. I love his movie. I don't know why, because he's just as weird as I am, I guess. But he had one called Epidemic.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, in a way, it's like a mockumentary. And then it just got way too real. I don't know if anybody remembers this movie or not, but
I own it, actually.
yeah, it's a great movie. And he just, I think if you really want to understand Lars von Trier, you need to watch that movie, because I think that gives you good insight to who he actually is as a director.
I have a real complicated relationship with him. He was Udo Kier's best friend. And even though I never knew Udo Kier, it does endear him to me, because if Udo Kier loved him, he literally said in an interview once that if Lars walked up to him and asked him to chop off his thumb, he would do it, without thinking. He loves him so much. And Dancer in the Dark is the most emotionally devastating movie I've ever seen in my life, so I have to love him for that. But he also made Antichrist, which is my least favorite movie ever made by anyone. So I just have a real complicated. But Epidemic is very unusual. It's definitely, I think, the most Larsy movie he's ever made. So I do agree with you that if you're trying to figure out, get inside this particular director's skin, I think Epidemic is a really, really good way to do that.
Yeah, but the whole trilogy, if you think about it. I mean, because a lot of people forget that's the Europa trilogy. Because he did The Element of Crime was the first, and then Europa came in 91. And to me, if that's how you want to get into Lars, that's exactly how I would get in. Just watch the whole trilogy. I think you'll enjoy everything in that. But it's 7:40. I got to get on out of here. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Bye, Yanni.
It's good to meet you, Yanni.
Thank you for stopping by, Yanni, tonight.
Absolutely. All right. See y'all.
See you, Yanni.
And
Yo, now
I'm excited for the Black and White October that Yanni's doing. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that should be really good. I think we all have an affinity with me. I started with the black and white horror when I started this, so yeah, that'll be interesting to hear what he has to say about that. So awesome. Well, Sean, let's hear your topic for tonight.
Yeah, so my topic that I wanted to do today was horror comedies, because I have a specific warm place in my heart for horror comedies. And it's funny that both Yanni and Molly mentioned it, because my two favorite horror comedies are Antichrist and then probably Hereditary. I'm just kidding. Molly, I was like, damn it. Oh, she mentioned Antichrist, but I could figure it out. No,
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh man!
Awesome. Oh, there we go.
You did, but at the most hilarious time. It couldn't have been better.
Awesome. But yeah, so I made a little cheat sheet for myself, kind of to make what I think is the murderer's row, and it's a pretty long row of horror comedies here. But I also want to hear all of yours, and this is going to kind of work into what I'm writing. Not this coming Thursday, but the next Thursday. The paid subscribers for the Case Files have picked Frankenhooker, which I'm really excited for, to do at the end of this month. Frankenhooker's definitely on there. If I trace it back to where did I start with horror comedy? I started with horror. The first horror movie I saw that made me obsessed with horror was the first Nightmare on Elm Street. And then, of course, being the nerds that we are, I immediately started renting all of the sequels. And so when we got to the later sequels, I was like, why is this hilarious? Why is this hilarious all of a sudden? Like, and they're not great, but in a lot of those later sequels, but the like Freddy's funny parts still got me.
He's hilarious.
I'm sorry, though. I'm sorry. Not great. Freddy's Dead contains the line, "The map says we're fucked." If that's not fine art, I don't know what is.
We'll agree to disagree, Molly, on that one because I love Freddy so much. I have a problem with that. It is, if I just looked at it as a straight comedy, I actually forgive it a little more, kind of like a late 80s, early 90s. Totally like if it was a Porky sequel that just so happened to get bloody or something.
Yeah.
And then it kind of went on to like the classics, like for horror comedy, like Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. Although Army of Darkness, I hesitated to put on this list because it kind of went from horror comedy to just straight up like fantasy comedy. What are your opinions on that?
It's different from the previous films, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything to add on that? Where they think Army of Darkness lands? Whether it's more like you could even call it horror.
I think of it as gateway horror because it really is sort of like Evil Dead Light, and it's one that I love to show to people, that aren't really into horror. Or it also, when I went to a screening of it at the Alamo a few years ago, and like half the audience was children. And everybody was really into it. So I've always thought for a long time now, I've thought of Army of Darkness as a gateway horror film or just a straight up medieval fantasy with skeletons in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
I feel like you could kind of say it's a fantasy horror to some extent.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's mostly because of its being a sequel to Evil Dead. It's hard to be like, well, it's not a horror, but then it's also like, well, it's still tied to a horror franchise, so it's hard to kind of take it away from that.
A lot of it has to do too with the setting. It's set in medieval times, and it's got that knights and fighting these dead. So it's almost kind of like if someone writing Clash of Titans all of a sudden decided to have a fever dream, and that's what they came up with. It's kind of like that almost.
Yeah, it's very Harryhausen coded, so which is. You don't get more fantasy than him, so.
Yeah, and I think it would also fit into a genre that we never hear anymore, but when we went to the video stores as children in the 80s and 90s, we always saw this word, and that's adventure. There was an adventure attached. We don't see that too much nowadays when they're classifying, especially on the streamers, because it has that little bit of adventure vibe.
We still get adventure movies, but they're not doing well for some reason. Like, I will watch any movie where the plot is like two people being dropped into like some tropical island and they have to like fight giant spiders to get out. I will watch any movie where that's the plot. And we still get them sometimes, but they're just really not marketed well and they're not doing well,
Jumanji, the Jumanji movies, I guess, could be adventure.
Also kind of horror-ish at times. Yeah.
Kind of.
Very true. But if I had to say what my... Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Josh. This is your house, Josh.
No, I was just going to say, horror just has a way of seeping its way into every genre, and comedy's no different, so...
Definitely, yeah. But I always go back... The two I always go back to as my top favorites probably are Evil Dead 2 and then Texas Chainsaw 2, because they kind of both followed a similar pattern where one was like a groundbreaking, horrifying movie that stayed with you. And then the next one adds a whole shitload of comedy elements that makes it like memorable on its own and makes it its own. Like you parodied your own thing and then made it better to a degree.
Yeah, absolutely. I think those are great choices.
Now I've got a long list here. There's ones on here like Motel Hell that I love, like newer ones like Shaun of the Dead. Cabin in the Woods. I love a good meta take on the horror and kind of, taking the piss out of horror. But the newest one, I think that I am like so in love with, and that my wife is even in love with, because sometimes I try to put on some of these movies for her, and she's like Blood Diner. When I did that last case file for Blood Diner, she was like, "Oh, okay, I'll let you watch this one by yourself. This is not really my jam."
I was going to say, Blood Diner is a choice for somebody who's not into horror.
Yes, very much, and it's got a lot of comedy elements. It doesn't take itself seriously, but at the same time, it's like you're either into that like weird slapstick approach, or you're not. And like too many boobs for no reason. Like my wife's always like, we don't need all the boobs. Are you still 12? What do you need to watch this for? But one of the newer ones that I absolutely love and I want us all to talk about is Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
I was
So
just
that is
thinking
my
about that one.
favorite horror comedy of all time.
Nice.
It's
my
my
oldest
absolute
brother's
favorite.
favorite.
Yeah.
Nice.
Me and Molly agreeing again. Oh, by the way, Molly, Jamie B told me that I am allowed to be part of the cosmic triplets now since we're all the same
Oh my God,
person.
yay.
We're just variants from different universes,
It's
apparently.
true. I believe we were all grown in the same petri dish. We are three very, very kindred spirits. No, it's true. I think Tucker, like, I know this is going to sound really stupid, but like, I normally try to pick movies that not a lot of people talk about. And so I feel basic when I say Tucker and Dale versus Evil is my favorite horror comedy of all time. It feels like a basic choice for someone with my general taste. But damn it, it is the funniest movie I've ever seen. It's brilliant. It's so solidly written, beautifully acted, and it's to me the perfect underhandedly meta horror comedy because you have to really understand, I think, the formula. You have to be familiar with the formula of the particular films they're parodying to truly get the joke, but you don't have to. It's basically Three's Company in hell, and I think that is absolutely brilliant. It just, I don't know. I think it's the funniest movie I've ever seen. So
Eddie, I don't. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's it. I'm done.
Oh, I thought somebody else was jumping in, and
Was anyone else going to say something?
No. So for Tucker and Dale too, it's first of all Alan Tudyk. Alan Tudyk can makes everything amazing. But I don't think that you needed that disclaimer, Molly, because Tucker and Dale versus Evil was a pretty low key movie that only us horror people knew. Then it was, but then it got to a point where it was one of those movies that was like all of a sudden licensed on every streamer at once. Like it's, they have those fire sale movies where they're like, just put it on everything. We have a low dollar for the licensing. And that's how it became so ubiquitous, I think, is it was 3, 4, maybe 5 years after it came out is when everybody all of a sudden saw it. And it was this like ubiquitous classic.
That's a really good point. I don't know. I think of it as being sort of in the same camp as Zombieland, which I also think is a great movie, but it has definitely gotten popular enough that there is this sort of wave of this attitude towards Zombieland where it's just sort of like Hollywood fluff. And I sort of put Tucker and Dale in that same category. So I think maybe that's why I feel a little weird when I say it's my favorite, because it feels like a very mainstream movie, and those are not normally my favorites, but it deserves all the attention and praise that it gets. So I'm glad that it got, that it finally did become really popular, because I think it deserves to be really popular.
Molly, I have a question for you. Do you consider Reanimator a horror comedy? I'm surprised that...
Yeah, 100%. I consider it a parody of Frankenstein.
Okay.
More than anything. Yeah. I know it's like I'm sorry?
You put Tucker and Dale above it as as far as horror comedies you like. You put
yes.
That above it?
So as a horror movie, I think Reanimator is better, but as a horror comedy, I prefer Tucker and Dale versus Evil. And I think that is really weird to say, but it's true. And I think part of it comes from the fact that Tucker and Dale was, well, I don't know, because they definitely deliberately made Reanimator as a comedy, but they were also trying to do some real horror in the film as well. Whereas Tucker and Dale never, ever, not for a second, took itself seriously. It was always intended to be a deliberate comedy from start to finish. Again, I'm not saying Reanimator, that's not the case with Reanimator either, but it was just made, I think, with slightly different intentions. So that's why I think I would put Tucker and Dale vs. Evil slightly above it as a horror comedy.
Okay.
That's fair. Yeah, and I have Reanimator on my list too because it's a lot like Evil Dead 2 in my opinion, where that has comedic elements, but at its core, it is a horror movie.
They were also trying to shock the audience. They were also they were trying to do other things apart from just make them laugh. And I feel like Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, the primary goal from start to finish was to make people laugh and to make them feel good. Because it's a feel-good movie. And Reanimator, it makes me feel good, but I wouldn't say that it's necessarily a feel-good movie. So, yeah.
I have a strange thing with Reanimator because the first Stuart Gordon movie I saw when I was probably like 13 or 14, was From Beyond. So I saw From Beyond, which doesn't have as many like comedy elements to it, if any, really at all. It's a lot more serious in my opinion. But then I watched Reanimator, loved it, laughed a lot at it. But then when I went back to From Beyond, I found myself chuckling more, and it's sometimes I laugh. My wife always yells at me when we're in. Sometimes we're in the theater, and I laugh at a part that's just like so horrifying. But that's kind of like my reaction to it. I'm like, that's so amazing. A good example of that is Evil Dead 2013 at the end when she's running the chainsaw through the demon's like face and blood spraying everywhere. I'm the only one in the theater who's like, and she's like, stop it! Everybody's frozen in horror. Stop.
Hey, I kind of thought it was kind of funny too. So,
see, I'm with the right people here today.
Yes, you are.
I have to ask if we're on the subject of horror comedies, because have you guys seen, and what do you think of Deadstream?
I have never seen it.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's
I haven't
funny.
seen it.
You like that?
Kimberly
that's the guy
knows.
with the reality show, right? And
It's a YouTuber. It's about a guy named Sean. He's a YouTuber, and he's one of those like prank show type YouTubers who gets canceled because one of his pranks went too far. And so in an attempt to kind of turn his career back around, he embarks on this journey into this supposedly haunted house by himself, and he does a live stream of it. And it came out, I want to say it was 2020 or 2021. It was nominated for the Chainsaw Awards like the year after it came out, which I think was 2021. And I was screaming from the rooftops for people to vote for it because I thought that it was the modern day equivalent of Evil Dead 2. Like, it was the closest thing I had seen to a contemporary filmmaker making their own modern version of Evil Dead 2. And it was the guy who stars in it is also the director. He and his wife co-wrote and co-directed the film. And it is hilarious. I had not laughed that hard at a horror comedy since I had seen Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. So I highly recommend. The character is a little annoying. The main character is a little annoying. He's a YouTuber, and they're very good at selling him like a real YouTuber. So he's a little obnoxious, but damn it, just like Ash Williams, he grows on you, and the story is so funny. Anyway, highly recommend.
So he grows on you rather than like we enjoy seeing him get destroyed slowly through the
both. It's both. Yeah, you want to see him get his ass kicked, but by the end you do kind of feel bad for the guy.
I have a horror comedy that I think is so underrated that I love, and it's my comfort horror comedy movie. Attack the Block. I love Attack the Block. It cracks me up every single time. The kids are hilarious. The banter is hilarious. So good.
God, I haven't seen that in forever. I strongly recommend Attack the Block. Because it's also uniquely has that like British tinge of humor.
Yes. Yeah. The British humor, the British slang it's hilarious.
Attack the Block.
Sounds like one.
Yeah, it stars Molly. It has John Boyega from the Star Wars movie. This was before the Star Wars movies. This is kind of where he cut his teeth.
I'm sorry, I know nothing about Star Wars. Who's John Boyega?
He was in Pacific Rim. He's in Star Wars.
That's right.
Yeah.
He was in the second. Was it the second Pacific Rim or the first Pacific Rim?
The second one. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I don't know anything about these movies.
It's so good. It's so funny. It's just teenagers in the hood, in a British hood, fighting aliens.
Yep.
Okay. So it's on my watch list now. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, my watch list is starting to get crazy. Substack has made my watch list like daunting as hell. And now today I've added like 3 or 4 things already, and I'm like, well. And then, what's going to happen is tomorrow night I'm going to be like, I'm going to watch Army of Darkness again. I will just keep watching these movies that I love so much.
That's about where I am at right now. Right now I'm putting up, well, there might be a few new watches coming up, but right now I'm in the mode. We're getting close to Halloween where I start really going back to watching all my favorites now between now and Halloween. So anything new is going to have to wait till November 1st.
Yep, I got 487 titles on my watch list. You know what I watched last night? Chud 2, Bud the Chud.
Yes.
Again.
Thank you for the heads up on that.
To get prepared for the new one coming out. And I've seen them all 1,000 times. But yeah.
Thanks for the heads up on this Deadstream movie. I'd never heard of this, but
it's on Shudder.
You said
it's a Shudder original.
One of the
check it out. Yeah, and because the main character's name is Sean by the Kyle Ryan property of movie taste, I have to love it.
You have to watch it. The other thing that I think is really cool is that The other thing I think is really cool is again the man who directed it. I can't. He plays Sean Ruddy in the movie, but I can't remember the actual guy's name. But he also is a composer, and he got around the whole "this is a found footage movie, we can't score it" thing by creating original compositions that Sean Ruddy, the YouTuber, plays on a little mini tape to add more drama to to what's happening in the moment. It's so clever. It's just a really clever, fun movie. I really hope you guys like it. I love it so much.
It's good.
It's awesome, yeah. And I had other ones on the list here. I don't want anybody to get upset that I left out any classics. Like American Werewolf in London is probably top 3 for a ton of people. I mentioned Motel Hell already. Motel Hell is one of my favorite because it's not like over the top comedy; it's more subtle. And what else do I have on here? Honorable mentions. I have to mention Bubba Hotep because I'm such a Bruce Campbell nerd. I feel like Bubba Hotep, while it does have some cheesy moments with regards to the effects and stuff, it's just the story holds up so solidly. It may be one of the best portrayals of Elvis we've ever seen on film. And it's just so unique. When it first came out, I was like, we're going to see. I had my buddy who's not a horror movie guy at all. And I was like, we're going to see this movie, Bubba Hotep. He's like, what is this? I was like, yeah, we have to go around the corner to like the Camera One theaters, what they called it, that showed only the art house movies. In a tiny little theater, sticky floor. 100-year-old man like Last Action Hero with a bow tie, still working the concessions.
Love it.
I'm so sorry about that banging, guys. By the way, that if you can hear that, that's my house. That's my washer right under where I'm sitting. It is losing its mind. So I'm going to mute my microphone for a minute.
That's all right.
So
I thought it was coming from me. But
no, it's me.
I thought it was my stomach. I'm hungry.
I got one horror comedy I'll throw out there, which also fits into the black and white comedy, is Mel Brooks's Young Frankenstein.
Oh. Yeah, it does. They do have, like, they still maintain some horror elements in there that are genuinely scary briefly. I do remember, especially as a child, being a little bit miffed by that horror, stuff.
But, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a good parody. If you're going to do a good parody and you're going to do it of a horror movie, you have to maintain those elements, I think, and which is something that I thought the first 2 scary movies did pretty well, and then even though the second one's a huge step down from the first one, but then by the time you get to 3, 4, and 5, they're almost indistinguishable from something like those ones they were just tossing out their date movie, superhero movie. They all kind of stopped being scary at all, even for a brief moment.
Right.
Yeah. So if anybody has any other horror comedies or things they want to add.
Feast is good. Is it Feast? Yeah,
Feast. Feast. Let me double check who made.
Is that the one with the chef where he kidnaps the chef? Are you talking about that Feast? No, that's Bitter Feast. I'm sorry, never mind.
Is it called Feast? I think it is called Feast. Well, they're trapped in like a diner and like these creatures are killing everybody.
Yeah, it's 2005 when a motley crew of strangers find themselves trapped in an isolated tavern. They must band together in a battle for survival against a family of flesh-hungry creatures.
I just watched that a few months ago. That is pretty good.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Nice. Yeah, I thought it was great too. And the creature effects were super cool. I love it when people have like unique creature effects.
Really good.
It's one of the reasons I'll defend Pumpkinhead till the day I die. Is I was like, if you have issues with this, the effects are so amazing.
I love Pumpkinhead, by the way.
Yes, Pumpkinhead's
Pumpkinhead
great.
Also good.
Well, another movie, I think someone mentioned it earlier, before we started, is Idle Hands. That's another good horror comedy as well. That's
so funny.
There's one, Dead Alive, which is a great one.
Oh, yeah.
Peter Jackson. But the one he did before Dead Alive that I love even more is called Bad Taste. Have y'all seen Bad Taste?
I'm a big Bad Taste and Meet the Feebles fan.
Yeah, okay. Well then, we are the same. But yeah, Bad Taste and it has, just speaking of like practical effects, it has some effects in it that like he did on an ultra low budget, like basically just like maxing out credit cards, like that kind of situation. That if I to still watch it, I'm like, God, I don't know how he did that really. There's like a scene where this house like rockets off the ground, and it's pretty amazing. But that like him, as far as being like coming after Raimi, and obviously influenced by him. I think he's, as far as like where Raimi had the '80s, Jackson coming to the '90s. I think he's a great choice. And you mentioned American Werewolf in London, and I would definitely put like, I'm kind of torn with that one as far as being a horror comedy. It, like Fright Night and even
Oh
Scream,
yeah,
get
yeah.
Fright
considered to be
Night.
horror. Well, they get considered to be horror comedies, and they are really funny, and they do have comedy throughout. But the horror is so good. I feel like it's a
Hmm.
horror movie, so much a horror movie first with comedic
Yeah.
elements
Right.
throughout.
Yeah.
Where Evil Dead 2 is obviously just a straightforward. They're just not as straightforward, I guess. But those would be my
Yeah.
favorite. But outside of those, Return of the Living Dead.
Oh yeah.
Oh
I
Absolutely.
just watched
yeah.
it a couple nights ago.
Return of the Living Dead.
Return of the Living Dead's up there for me too, man.
Yep. I would for
Another
sure
great one.
put that one. So at the top of the list. I would. It's so funny. I'm like, oh, a more recent one. This came out like 25 years ago, or probably 23 years ago now. But and I consider, even though it's meta, it's more of a meta horror film in the same vein as like Cabin in the Woods or even Scream. But Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon,
Oh
I
my
think
God.
is
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
Yes.
uh,
So good.
yeah. I think that's
See,
like it's got
I don't
that.
think of that as a comedy.
I'm
Like, I
sorry.
know that I don't think of that as a comedy. I think of it as a drama. Like, I know that it's kind of a comedy in the beginning, but it rips
Yeah.
my heart out, man. Like, I don't
And
know. It's hard for me to think of that as a comedy.
it goes absolutely completely full on horror by the last
Hmm.
act. And I think you're right. I think it falls more into the Scream, and where I think Cabin in the Woods is more straightforward comedy. I do think
Hmm.
Leslie Vernon steers more towards Scream, where it's really funny, but it's still a full on like mean horror film. At the end of the day,
Hmm.
where something
It
like
is.
something like I don't know, Dead Alive is obviously, or Reanimator, or just full on comedies. So,
Hmm. But it's a
but
great choice. It's an incredible film.
I'm, tr- I'm trying to think of any. Yeah, I really wish that they could have expanded out on that. I mean, it's
They
kind of
are.
a
I wanted to tell you, Kyle, because I read a blurb and it says that in 2027 there will be Behind the Mask 2, The Return of Leslie Vernon.
Hmm.
really. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Gosh, I don't
Yeah,
even know if I
Nathan
want
Basil
that
posts
now.
I had
about it
heard
kind of
about that too.
periodically.
I feel like it's
Hmm.
past its expiration date, though. I don't know.
Mm.
Have you all ever seen the movie Jack Slater, Monster Slayer?
Mm-mm.
It sounds familiar.
I mean, it sounds. Yeah, it does. I just don't.
Where
Oh, Jack Slater, Monster Investigator.
is that? What it is?
That's a new
Yeah,
one.
funny. Oh, that's a children's book. Sorry.
No,
Damn
this
you,
has
Google.
Robert Englund is the villain in it. But it's like this
Oh wow,
everyman guy
no.
in a community college, and his professor, played by Robert Englund, becomes a monster, and he has to fight all these like monster creatures, and it's just this fun slapstick, kind of Evil Deadish. This guy who just has to like fight all these. It's like, did you ever see Psycho Gorman, which is another one
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
put as one of my favorites in the last few years, is Psycho Gorman. It's like a Psycho Gorman 20 years ago, I guess,
Oh,
something.
okay. Jack Brooks, Monster
Jack
Slayer,
Brooks. Okay,
2007.
thank you. Jack
You were
Brooks.
thinking I said Last Action Hero earlier, and you just had Jack Slater in here.
Yeah, there you go. That is Jack Slater. But yeah, Brooks, Monster Slayer. Highly recommend. It's very fun, low budget, very Evil Dead esque.
Nice.
What was the other one I mentioned? Not Jack Brooks. I just said another one, and that was the one I was going to focus on. I can't remember what it was now, but yeah, it's like I don't know that I've ever talked to anybody else that's seen it. So you guys need to see it so we can talk about it. So,
Okay.
and I haven't seen it in 20 years, so I don't know how well it holds up. But I thought Psycho Gorman, but I thought it was a lot of fun. So anyway, and Psycho Gorman kicked ass. So I love that movie. So much fun.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Wow. My
Well, I think
watch
one
list
thing-
is getting to be a problem today.
Yeah, it's always that's the only damn thing about horror. I think there's been more movies made in the horror genre than any other genre ever, and it's I don't know how some of these people keep up with some of these movies. Even I can't even keep up with today's movies anymore. So it's like, I don't know. But
I think it's because we're a forgiving fan base to a point where if you really want to make a low budget movie or you want to start making movies, that if you want to put something together, there's just so much more of a chance that your little horror movie you made is gonna end up getting picked up by Tubi or Amazon or Shudder or
Yeah.
Well, and it's so true. Because we even have, we even have fandom specifically people who seek out really low budget and micro budget and independent horror films, whereas I can't think, like, do people do that with rom-coms? Like, is there a whole subset fandom for rom-coms of, like, people who look for, like, the micro budget, teen romance movies that came out? I don't know. It's weird. We are a very, I think, forgiving fan base, but I know very few horror fans. Like, and I don't mean just people who can enjoy horror, you know what I mean? Like, people who identify as fans. I know very few of us that aren't also interested in the process of filmmaking in one way or another, or the process of storytelling. And I think that also lends well to the, like, lower budget and independent projects, because we're more interested, I think, to see just what people are coming up with, regardless of the production value or,
right.
I don't know. That's just my theory.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, well, I'd say before we move on, I would say I think one reason why comedies and horror work so well together, and I had this explained to me many years ago by someone else that was on YouTube. Comedy and horror use the exact same progressions and setups. Use the same setup in comedy to get the joke as you do in horror to get the scare. There's like a certain progression, and it's why sometimes I think comedy and horror work so well together. Most of the time. Sometimes comedy doesn't land in horror, the horror doesn't land in comedy. But I heard that once explained to me, and I think it was right around the time that the movie Spiral came out. And even though that's not considered a very good movie, of course that was a big Chris Rock thing. He happens to be here he is, one of the funniest comedians there's ever been, but he's also a huge horror fan, so he really wanted to do that. And I think it's because the mindset is kind of the same. Probably the same thing with Jordan Peele, when you think about it, because he was basically into comedies, but prior to doing Get Out, which I wouldn't call it a horror comedy, but it does have some comedic elements to it.
I was going to
say, Little Ray Howard's like a big comedic character.
Yeah. I would think, too, that it's also just tension and release as well, right? Like, you've got, like, the really tense and that sort of sinking gut, can't breathe feeling that horror evokes, and you need to release that somehow, and what better way to release it than to laugh? So I've always looked at it sort of like that as well. I hadn't thought about the setup thing. That's fascinating.
What were you going to say, Skyla?
I was saying a lot of Peele's movies do have comedy typically still, but also to piggyback off that, I think maybe it also has to do with, when we kind of go through traumatic experiences, we usually kind of make jokes about it, kind of a way to get through it, and I think maybe that plays a role in that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
They're also just the two genres that are the most fun to watch in a group with other people.
Yeah, for sure.
Which draws us in, even though we don't really get comedies in at the movie theaters anymore.
Don't get or at least none that are funny anyway.
No, at least I went and saw Super Troopers 3 last weekend, and I can tell you that yes, there are no good comedies coming out in the theater.
And that just looks.
I don't know. I thought the Naked Gun movie was kind of funny.
Oh,
and it came out.
It was.
Okay.
No, I didn't see it. I just like.
It's pretty great. I'm a complete sucker for Pamela Anderson. Like, I love this era that she's in right now in her life. I am just living for it, and I was so excited that she ended up like with Liam Neeson, and then they made this Naked Gun movie together, and to get to see her actually acting was really nice. I feel like she deserves it. So.
There was only one problem I had with that Naked Gun movie, though, Molly, and I loved it. I went and saw it in the theater with my wife, but the thing that it was missing, that all those earlier Naked Gun movies and like Zucker movies, like the Airplane, like Airplane and Airplane 2 and all those, there wasn't any really background gags. There's no stuff in the background happening.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
I knew you were going to say that. No, so true. It's so true. Because yeah, that was like the best part of that era of comedy was
Oh yeah, oh my
that there
gosh.
you blink and you miss it. There's always something happening in the background, and yeah, there wasn't a
Yeah.
whole lot of that, and I agree.
Yeah,
I
the
think
Hot
those
Shots
comedies are
movies. I want a
extinct.
whole. Oh, sorry.
I think yeah, I think those movies, I mean, they're just some of the greatest comedies back in the like National Lampoon's,
Mhm.
Airplane, Police Academy. I mean, you just don't get that anymore when you have
Mhm.
stuff happening in the background and it's just
That's actually
hilarious.
why I love the show Community. It's one of my favorite TV shows, and that's actually
Oh,
why. Is I mean, there are a lot of reasons why I love Community so much, but because Dan Harmon, his style of comedy is very so you can tell that he watched all the Airplane movies, all the Naked
mm-hmm.
Guns, and probably the Hot Shots movies growing up, because there's always stuff happening in the background. If you blink, you'll miss it, and I think that's so
Yeah.
funny, and we don't get it. We don't get it very often anymore.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No. All right, who's next? Who's the next topic, Josh?
Okay, well, I think next we're going to move on to Skyla.
Oh,
Well,
hi.
it's going to Skyla. I think she has a pretty intriguing topic, and take her away, Skyla. Let's hear what you have to say.
Okay. I wanted to talk about horror movies and media literacy because I wrote about the backrooms and then now I'm writing about Obsession, and it's been bringing up memories of when those two movies came out in theaters. And I forgot how horrible people's media literacy is now because,
Yeah.
especially with Obsession, the fact that there was a lot of people like looking at Bear and being like, he was a victim. He did nothing wrong. I feel bad for him. And I'm just like, bro,
Those.
what movie did you watch?
Oh my God! Wait. So that was a lady that said that to you, not some dude that's oblivious.
Well, I'm sure there are some girls. I said girl in a general way, but I'm sure there's some girls who said that too because people in general don't have media literacy. Like it's
Hmm.
crazy.
Yeah.
And now with the whole debacle of bringing Nikki into like Halloween Horror Nights, I feel like it almost makes it even worse because it's perpetuating this idea that she is a villain and not a victim. And it's just like I
She's
don't know
gonna be in
why we're
Halloween
doing
Horror
that.
Nights.
Yeah.
It's
Like, what do you mean when
crazy.
you
Like
say Nikki? Like, not the movie. Like, explain further.
The character Nikki, which I first of all I don't even know how that works because she's just a girl. So
Right.
I don't know how she's gonna be walking around and people are supposed to know who she is. But
And
that's
be
why I made the
scared of
joke in
her. Like, oh,
notes.
that pisses me off. Like, oh my gosh.
yeah,
You
I made
know,
the joke.
Okay.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just saying I made the joke in notes about that because in Skylar and I we were talking about that the other day. It's like she's gonna have to wear a shirt that says obsession on it. I mean, you just can't
Right.
basically.
Yeah,
for
unless you're paying
Nikki.
Indy Navarrete, who's now getting Marvel money. She just got
Yeah,
announced as Rogue in the next X-Men movie. Unless you're paying her, it's not like a character you can do up with an outfit or
Right.
makeup
Yeah.
at all. That's ridiculous.
It makes no
It's so
sense. Like it
weird.
It's a
really.
cash grab, is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
it is. Which I don't know. But then I was thinking about that because when Obsession was in movie theaters, there was also the whole like theater etiquette thing where people were talking about how people were like laughing throughout the entire movie, even at parts that weren't really funny. And then just
Almost fell asleep during the movie, so I don't know.
yeah, yeah.
Oh
But
man, I
people
didn't get
were
to
just
hear this obsession hot take from Josh
it's
last time. So
crazy.
I'm done talking about it, so I'm not gonna say anymore.
To be
You're gonna have
fair,
to watch
Josh,
the video.
to be fair, Josh, I do think it was an overhyped movie. It was a good movie, but I do think it was a little overhyped. So you're
Yeah.
um and then when I was thinking about the back rooms, I was thinking about the fact that there was a lot of people like, that movie was so boring. Which true, it was a little slow. But the whole point of it is that it's a psychological horror movie about going through like the depths of your own mind, basically. Like it's not going to be jump scares everywhere.
now that
There's
yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was boring at all. Like I was
I
engrossed
didn't.
with, and I loved both. Like Hokum, Backrooms, and Obsession were all fantastic for me in like different ways. Like I loved all. Like I've just been in horror movie heaven all year. Um, I think it's one of the best years for horror we've had since like 2014. But like I just
Really?
like Oh
Even
yeah.
more so than 2022.
Well, no, I'm just saying it's one of like there's
Okay.
probably 2022. What was 2022? Was that the year of like?
X Pearl.
See,
Oh,
I've never seen the X Pearl. I've never seen those movies, so
Okay.
Pearl is so good.
okay,
Oh
I
yeah,
need
What?
you
to
got
watch
some
this
homework
one.
to do for that
Pearl is so
trilogy.
good.
That's one of
Oh,
my
and
blind. That's one of
Maxine.
my, that's one of
Yeah.
my horror movie blind spots. I haven't seen those. But I think it's one of the best years. I'm not saying it's the best year we've had since 2014, but I think it's one of the better years so far. Just seeing all three of those, and I've seen them with my daughter too, and her loving them was pretty awesome. Especially like with Hokum, I just really love that director. And I was a huge fan of Oddity. Last year, 2 years ago, but yeah, yeah, Backroom. I mean, that's the thing is like, man. I mean, if like that's boring, I get Skinamarink, but Backrooms is like it's like we have to be able to. And I'm not talking about us specifically in this, but I'm just saying in general, like to be able to like slow down and just like enjoy and focus in on something that's like a slow burn on some level
Yeah.
that
Right.
it's like is like we talked about earlier, like that build up to through tension. And that movie, all three of these movies we're talking about had flaws. I mean, they're not, I don't think any of them are necessarily like perfect horror films, but and Backroom definitely had a few. But man, overall, I thought it was just an awesome premise, and I wasn't captured with like the liminal space YouTube horror,
Hmm.
creepypasta horror of like the early 2000s. Like I don't know, I swam outside the current of that. So like I've enjoyed coming into it, and it's I don't know, it's I dug it. So I know there's a lot of people that don't like that didn't like it at all, but I went into it with low expectations, and I was like, holy shit, this is actually like really good. I dug it. So
Did you or did anybody see? So they released the regular version of Backrooms, and then they did a like their own DVD director's cut version to theaters called the Everything Must Go edition.
that's the one I
Oh, I
saw.
heard of that. I didn't see
That's
that
the
Okay,
one.
so Kyle, the original Backrooms, which is fun. This is hilarious to me. The the Everything Must Go edition is longer, but at the same time, they add a few things that makes the pacing a little bit better than
okay.
the original release. I thought.
Okay. I
So
mean,
yeah.
well, and not to spoil, like on paper, I think that like the actual like, and somebody made a point, I think on Substack that like that was really good that they liked Backrooms, but they thought that if they had left out like part of what makes Backrooms scary is that like you're in it, but there's nothing else. The haunted house is ultimately empty, and the fact that there was like a kind of creature monster that was added to it took away from it. And I'm not articulating that very well. The person that posted about it, had a lot of good points. But even what ultimately becomes like the the monster of the story, the literal monster of the story on paper would have been so hard to pull off, and I thought they actually did a pretty good job with that. Because if I was just to read that in a screenplay, I'd be like, man, that that sounds kind of stupid. But it definitely worked. But yeah, the whole obsession and like Nikki's kind of the I mean, like, look, is there some complexities there with the bear character? I'm sure you could suss out those things, right? To me, he became a full on kind of piece of shit, and more so the villain of the story. Like the scene where when she's asleep, the Bizarro Nikki is asleep, and she's talking to him, and she's like, "Hey, it's actually me." She's like, when he asks her, he's like, "Why am I so bad?" Or like, "Why is it so hard to love me?" Or something like that. Like there was a line he had like that where it was like, he was full on. I feel like he was kind of in full on villain mode at that point. Before that, yeah, I mean, it's a complex story, but her being the villain of the story is whether someone argues that Bear is the villain or not, she's definitely not. Like I mean, I'm sure people could debate all day over the Bear character. a character that I just didn't like from the first scene. Like from the
I,
first
I
time.
say the novelty store is the villain. That's
Well,
the
yeah.
villain.
The novelty, the devil is like the ultimate villain in it.
Right.
And then Bear is like, I just took Bear as like this very weak, just the epitome of kind of this like this specific type of guy, that to where like literally from the first scene, I just didn't like his vibe. And the actor did a great job of like playing this character that you just, whether he's the villain or not, he's just unbearable and completely unlikable, just all the way around. His friend is as well. I would argue there's not like, it's not like a movie full of likable characters, but and I think that's, I would wager that's the point, part of the point of it. But anyway, yeah, I'll have to
But
watch that video, Josh, because I gotta hear what you're, because I thought it was pretty fantastic. Actually, I felt like it lived up to the hype for the most part. So, and we're pretty aligned.
I'd rather watch Halloween Resurrection, but
Oh my God, are you serious? Have you
I'm
seen
telling
Resurrection?
you, I'm Tom Hanks in the movie Castaway. I'm stuck on an island, beating up a volleyball named Carpenter on it, and
He said Tom Hanks.
Oh man.
But Skyla,
Resur-
I'm interested. I didn't. What I missed here, and it was Skyla. You mentioned obsession and then back rooms for the media literacy part. What part of back rooms specifically do you feel like people are misreading or taking wrong?
I feel like a lot of people, well, one, I think this part of it had to do with looking at the internet and expecting for some reason expecting it to be what the internet told them instead of going into this movie and just getting the movie.
Yeah.
So it was, a lot of people were like, "Oh, this is so boring. I fell asleep because I was expecting, I don't know." I mean, there was a joke that went around where people was like, "I expected a Kanye West PNG to jump out," because that was like a thing on the internet. But it's like they completely missed the point of the movie being a. I mean, at the end, it was about a man and a woman and the things that they were going through psychologically, whether that be depression or feeling as if they
Alcoholism.
haven't gotten through this part in their life. And I feel like a lot of people were just like, whatever, I think it was just a boring movie about walls. I'm like, okay.
yeah, I
Nuts.
think
I
sometimes
guess.
people don't know what they're getting into when they're getting into a movie. Sometimes you have to kind of like at least have an idea of, because
See, I think
it's not like Backrooms marketed itself as a slasher film or anything like
no.
that. I haven't seen it yet. I will probably watch it some point by the end of
Well,
the
what
year, but
to me, if anyone would go into a movie call a horror movie made recently called Back Rooms and expect nonstop action, they're already going into the movie not understanding at
Yeah.
all. You know, I've not seen the movie. I've not seen any trailers. I've not read any reviews of the film. All of my knowledge of it comes from just brief mentions here, actually, on our live streams in the last few times. And even I feel like I know what it's about. You know what I mean? It's because I'm familiar with the concept of back rooms and you know that as part of our culture and like what, you know, the liminal space and the long drawn out dread and you know that sort of thing. And so I just feel like yeah, people not being familiar with like the concept of back rooms and the creepypastas that sort of kind of really kick-started that phenomenon on our so well it didn't kickstart it, but you know, like resurrected everyone's
Yeah.
interest in that.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, it does sort of, but that doesn't surprise me. Going back to the media literacy aspect of it, is that we, not to go into like this launch into this big thing, but again, this entire semester I have studied almost nothing but this subject. So it's
Okay.
very much in my mind right now that it's all about the quick fix and the quick glances, you know, these days. That's how we take in content. We scan it for something that already interests us or confirms our pre-existing biases, and if it doesn't, we move on. We scan it, we take it in real quickly. And so it's a very surface level engagement, I think. And so when you have something like marketing for a movie like Backrooms, you have hundreds of thousands of people engaging with that marketing on a very surface level. And so I think that you really would have to. I haven't seen the trailers for Backroom, so I don't know exactly how it was marketed. But I feel like you have to be really careful how you market a film like that to make sure that that right from the off, people know immediately, okay, this is not a movie where we're going to get, action every 7 pages. Like, I don't know. That would be my theory about part of it. And then also the fact that people suck and the word boring is used more these days to describe movies than ever before. I literally have a folder on my computer where I copy and paste and have saved into, I have several documents, all the movie reviews that I have read where people call movies boring. And I don't know why I'm compiling this list yet. I don't know why I'm collecting them, but I've been collecting them for years because it pisses me off to no end how quickly people are just like, oh, that was boring. People thought Caveat was boring because there were no jump scares in it. I've heard people say Backrooms is boring, and it's like, what did you expect from a horror movie called Backrooms? What did you expect?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Well,
I'll tell you, Molly, the trailers for Backrooms I thought were great. I mean, it sucks to think that when you have a property or a piece of art that the marketing team are the ones that are going to introduce it to the public for the first time, and then it can make or break something. But I thought they did a decent job. I didn't think I was misled.
Well, and they may very well have done a decent job, and it could, just come down to more along the lines of that. The lower attention span, the surface engagement, the quick scanning, and so you're just not thinking critically about the trailer you're watching. So you're not going into the movie expecting really anything apart from just, I don't know. It's a giant mess. We engage with media in such a fucked up way now, and I'm not surprised that people didn't get Backrooms. I'm not surprised that they misinterpreted the character of Nikki from Obsession, also a movie I haven't seen. But I'm really not surprised. That's not, I think, unique to today. Not to go off on a thing, but if you guys remember Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, not a horror movie, I know. But, this was a movie, a literal cautionary tale against trying to erase parts of your past that are traumatic. That we need to sit with the trauma, we need to learn from it, grow from it, and we need to never stop trying. Like, those are the kind of main themes of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And there was a scientist, a neuroscientist, a team of them actually, about, I want to say, 10 years after the movie came out, so this would have been like in the 2010s, who were sending around requests for grants. They were looking for funding for a program where they were trying to develop a new technology which would target specific memories and erase them to help with people suffering from PTSD. And they cited Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind as their inspiration for the development of this technology. They're like, hey, we're working on a memory erasure thing, and we learned about it from this movie that is trying to teach us not to erase our memories. Like, so it's not unique to Obsession, but like, I definitely think it's happening more and more today, and I think it all comes down to a lack of critical thinking, and it's hard. We just don't think critically about shit, and we're doing it less and less.
Well, you had mentioned about this, not just being today. I think back to about, I don't know what made me think about this, and I think this is kind of in what we're talking about, and this isn't a horror movie, but back in whatever it was, 1970, 71, there was a movie with George C. Scott that came out called Patton, in which he plays the World War II General George S. Patton. Mm-hmm. And so many people misinterpreted what the spirit of that movie was, that George C. Scott refused his Academy, because he won Best Actor, but he refused it because people didn't understand that this was an anti-war movie. But there are people like my dad who thought, oh yeah, no, they're portraying him as a he might very well have been the best combat general ever, but he was also a fucking psychopath too at the same time. Yeah. And people did not see that. People misunderstand Archie Bunker. They don't understand that they are being parodied, that Archie Bunker is a parody of them, and they look at him as a hero when that's not how that character was meant to be portrayed.
Well, yeah, or it's like very recently there was that fucking NFL commercial by one of those religious organizations. I can't remember who they were, but there was a religious organization that paid for airtime during the NFL, and it was a promotional commercial. It was a promotional thing for either their church or their organization, and they literally used Depeche Mode's "Personal Jesus" as the song in the commercial. And it's like, are you kidding me? You just used "Personal Jesus" to try to sell your religion. Did you not listen to the song? But that's the thing, is I just think people, and again, kind of going back to Skylar, to go back to your topic of media literacy in relation to, either the horror films or whatever, I do think that as time goes on, as a result of the prevalency of social media, we are thinking critically less and less. And so I think we're seeing more instances of people just really blindly flailing themselves into movie theaters with very little idea of what to expect or how to think. And then that's why they come home, they turn to the internet to try to find out what other people think about it and just sort of draw their conclusions from that. And it's really sad. It's really, really sad.
People definitely have, like, instead of making their own opinions, it's like, well, this person said it was bad, so I'm also going to say it's mid, because it's
and that has always been true. Yeah, and that has always been true. I just think that it's a lot more prevalent today. That's actually another reason why I've been away from social media for a while. Part of it is that I'm really busy with finals. The other part of it is exactly what you're talking about, and the lack of media literacy, not just in relation to film, but in general, where it's like, it's everything I can do not to quit the internet a lot lately, and especially studying it every day in school and being forced to confront all of this stuff every fucking day. It's like, man, and it's sad when you have something like Backrooms, which again, I haven't seen it, but I'm interested in it, and I have been for a while, and it seems like they really were trying to do something different, and something unique, and it sucks that in order to do that, you're not just competing with the thousands of other people that are trying to do something unique and different these days, but you're also having to combat lack of media literacy. And you have to wonder, like, are 10 people going to tell me they wish I killed myself because I made this movie and it was really boring and it bored them to death and they hope I die?
Right?
That's
performative next level shit that people say to each other for just disliking a movie they like, or vice versa, is insane.
And it's because a couple of people do that for content. They get really emphatic and really, over the top, overreactionary in their reviews of these movies. And then other people see it, they're entertained by it. And then it just trickles down and it becomes a part of the conversation. And like with, some of the people saying what they've said about Backrooms, it's like, just fucking watch the movie, take it in, form your own opinion. Sorry, I didn't mean to ramble so much. This is literally what's been in my head for months.
I listened to every word of it.
Like, I'm glad you did. But
Skyla
kind of reminded me, I'm going back to Obsession because I just remembered this point. It's weird that a lot of people were so hesitant in calling Bear the villain because Companion is a movie very similar to Obsession. But that movie, and I was thinking, like, why did everyone, but then I remembered in that movie, they specifically said he was a bad guy. Like, at the end, he's very specifically shown to be the villain. Whereas in Obsession, even though it kind of does, I guess to some people, they didn't tell them he was the bad guy, so they're like, oh no, he's... And I thought that was kind of interesting when I started thinking about that.
That's also so interesting to me because...
I mean...
Yeah, lack of critical thinking. But it's also so interesting because, again, I haven't seen it. I wish I'd seen the movie so that I could participate more in this conversation. I'm so sorry that I haven't seen it.
It's the same. You could take out the word obsession and put in weapons or put in sinners. It's like, oh, sinners. They copied from Dusk Till Dawn, so it's a corny movie.
No,
like,
what they did is they made a better version of Dusk Till Dawn, in my opinion.
From weapons. Oh, I don't know. I'm glad it's Black Story. So it's so slow and boring. Really, that's what you got from weapons. Like, it's like complete lack of critical thinking and not being like everybody wants to be spoon fed, and it's the whole TikTok, horror movie review engine that's like fueling the fire to this. So
are these horror fans that are saying these things, or are these just general audiences who are going to a zeitgeist type movie?
That's a good question. Actually, I don't know.
I feel like
I hope not. I hope it's not horror fans.
Yeah. Would you say, Skyla? I'm sorry.
I feel like it's more general audiences. But you brought up weapons, and that's a really good point. because I remember when Weapons came out, there was such a big debate of everyone trying to say what they thought what they thought Weapons was.
Yeah.
And I feel like no one really ever found the answer, because even if you looked at the director, well, there is kind of an answer. It's about grief, because the director literally said he made it about grief after his best friend died, and about alcoholism. But everyone else is like, no, it's about school shootings. No, it's about this. No, it's about this. It's about this. And everyone's
that's the
arguing
thing.
and
Again,
missing
it
the
comes
point.
back to confirmation. Yeah, we're so used to being living in this world that's perfectly tailored to our own opinions and never having our own ideas challenged because of the echo chambers online, that it's like Heretic. That's a newer horror movie that I have
That's
seen.
another good example.
Yeah,
I
Heretic is
love
another
that
good
movie.
example of a movie where everybody that went to watch that movie walked away with something different from it. And everybody has their own idea about what the movie is trying to say. And on one hand, that should be a good thing because art is open to interpretation. We should be debating it, but nobody's debating it. They're just spouting their opinions about what the movies mean and not listening to anyone else's opinion about it. So if you're a Christian and you go in to watch Heretic, you may feel insulted and you may feel like you're watching a propaganda movie made by atheists. If you're a staunch atheist who's very anti-Christian, you may feel like the movie is maybe possibly dabbling too deep into the sort of spiritual realm because of the ending. And it's like, oh, is this a pro-Christian movie? But we should be talking about it, not just,
They're Mormons, though. I just wanted to remember they were Mormon missionaries, the girls, not Christians.
Isn't Mormonism not a kind of Christianity?
Oh, is it? Technically, I guess it is. I learned something new today.
Yeah, it's an
I could be wrong.
own little
I was about to say,
universe, I guess.
It's a denomination.
But it's like it's a subset of, but it's also really its own thing too, because they're so different.
Right, but I mean, they do believe in like Jesus and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that it was like a sect of Christianity. But yeah, like, and I know that I watch actually a couple of like Mormon media literacy content. I watch a lot of media literacy content online. And I watch a lot of I've watched several YouTubers who are Mormon YouTubers comment on Heretic. And some of them love it and some of them hate it. But the thing is, they're not discussing it with each other. They're just spouting how they feel about it and then moving on to the next movie. And I think that's also part of the problem too with movies like Weapons and Obsession, that we're not really, it's all debate. It's all about one side proving their point instead of, sharing your perspectives and drawing new conclusions from the combination of those ideas. Again, sorry, I'm babbling, but
No, that's all right.
We don't know how to think critically, and we don't know how to communicate as well as we used to. I'm not going to say we don't do it at all, but we don't do it as well as we did. And I think that our movies are suffering for it,
I agree.
I would hate to be a filmmaker.
movies, I think, a little bit there. Because even if I didn't like a movie, I can at least try to acknowledge maybe what it did right, or I try to understand why people love it so much. And sometimes, but at the same time, you have to... Kimberly, you had a great note earlier this week about slow burns versus it's okay if you like slow burns to still go back and watch some campy slasher film. And like the analogy I came up with, and this is mainly because I can't remember your exact term, but I know you normally just eat fish and vegetables, so I decided to use a seafood analogy. It's great to eat that lobster or that whatever, but it's also kind of nice to have some fish and chips too every once in a while.
Absolutely.
It's important to not, I don't know, we need to be open to new experiences and open to new things. It's the same thing within a particular genre. I love slasher movies. I love them so much, and if I could, I probably would watch nothing but slasher movies the rest of my life, and Reanimator. But sometimes I'll go and I'll watch a movie that I would never have watched otherwise, I can't think of an example right now, but I know that there are times where I'm like, okay, this is really, the original Woman in Black. The original, I think it was a BBC original movie of The Woman in Black that was eventually remade with Daniel Radcliffe. It's a Victorian ghost story. I don't care for those usually. And I went back and I watched it. It scared the crap out of me. It was so beautiful. I was like, this is amazing. And so that's why I think it's important to watch movies that are maybe not quite your thing with an open mind. And it's just harder for us to do that these days,
Yeah.
Can I say
Well,
one thing
that's
about that? Oh, I'm sorry,
go
Josh.
ahead.
My bad. I
No,
was
go ahead, Kyle.
I was just going to quickly say, like, I'm a huge proponent for going into anything like this completely blind. Um,
Yep.
I'm the opposite of wanting to try to figure out whatever I can about a movie so I can understand
Mhm.
it before I go into it. Like, again, just rattling off Hokum Backrooms and Obsession. I went into each of those movies without watching a trailer. I didn't read an article on it. I didn't read a think piece. I did nothing on Substack. I mean, nothing. I just went into those each blind. And then after the fact, I read some opinions and things just to see, because sometimes it's like it's not necessarily to like find something that like agrees with what I thought, but just to open my mind and maybe make me think about some other things that they saw that I didn't. Right? Like there's probably
Right.
certain things about Backrooms that I took from it that some of you all may not have thought about really, and vice versa. I had a really long discussion with it with my oldest daughter, and there were certain things kind of back and forth that she talked about that I hadn't thought about, and again, vice versa. So, but just going into a movie blind like that, like Backrooms, for example, or Hokum or whatever, and not knowing anything about it is like the most fun.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know, it's like you don't know what you're getting into, and it removes expectations,
Hmm.
which we go in with biases and things like that. So
I agree.
yeah, I
I do
think
too.
like an improvement in media literacy is not soaking up all the information you can about plot or characters or
Yeah.
themes or
Yeah.
motivations or anything like that. Form to Skyla's point, form them for yourself with a blank
Hmm.
slate. And then if you come away from it, you're like, shit, I don't really know what to think about this. And I've had that time from time to time where I'm like, I don't really know what this movie's trying to say, or is it trying to say anything? And then I may go like on a little deep dive research after the facts and read some things that like open my mind to it, or maybe I didn't like something and then or like a movie as much, and then once I kind of start to understand from other people's takes on it, I ultimately start forming a more positive opinion about it because I can kind of go
Hmm.
back, and then I ultimately end up rewatching it from that lens and like it like it more. So
Yeah.
I don't
Exactly.
know.
You're open. You're open. And I think that's the most important thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So,
Yep.
yeah. It's just yeah. It's not just spoilers. Like oh, I don't like. It's not just spoilers from like a plot, from a plot perspective, a twist or anything like that. It's just yeah. I don't know. There's something beautiful about not knowing what you're getting into and
Yeah.
being completely on a ride. I don't want to know
yeah.
about the roller coaster really I'm going to get on, before I get on it. So speaking of
Yeah.
Universal Studios again, but I want to be surprised. I don't want to know the every twist and turn. I don't want to know when it goes upside down, when it doesn't, how fast it goes. I just want to get on it and hope I
See what
don't
happens.
die.
Yep.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what's funny about that is that the trailers for Obsession and Backrooms kind of did that. Like they did not leave any idea of what they were about, to be honest.
Yeah. It-
Mm.
Obsession,
yeah.
it was just like him breaking it and being on the phone, like, does she really love me? And that was it. And I remember when I
Yeah.
first saw that movie, not the movie, when I first saw the trailer for Obsession, that was what got me hooked because I was like, oh, this looks interesting. Like, this looks unique.
Yeah.
Um,
And see, I didn't know that there
so,
was a wish. I knew nothing. I mean, I went into that
mhm.
movie. All I knew is that I didn't know if it was the girl that was obsessed, if it was the guy that was obsessed. I knew someone was obsessed. I knew there was an obsession
Well, in a
somewhere.
way, they
And
both
right.
kind of were a little bit.
Yeah,
Do what? What, Josh?
In a lot of ways, he was obsessed first with her,
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I
did his
agree.
little wish thing, and
Yeah. But yeah, and it was a movie that genuinely. There were multiple scenes that genuinely just I was like, oh, and it was a fun movie to see with an audience for sure. There's one scene in particular that I won't because I don't. There's probably at least somebody that hasn't seen it. Molly, did you say you haven't seen Obsession?
I haven't. Mm-mm.
Okay, I won't say anything about it, but
Sorry. I'm
um,
so sorry.
no, you're good. You're good. Well, I mean, there might be somebody watching
no,
it.
you're really good. Trust me.
Yeah, man.
I'm just kidding.
Josh is not trying to hear nothing about Obsession.
No,
Josh
that's all
knew
right.
he'd
I
rather
know
watch
it's going to come up.
Resurrection. The Resurrection take is the hottest take I've heard Josh say. Maybe anyone ever say. That's a hot. I felt that heat from over here in my through the computer.
I will say this, even though they're putting the Nikki character in the Halloween Horror Nights, they made up for it by having Hellraiser there at
Yeah.
the
That's
Halloween
Mhm.
good.
Horror
I
Nights.
saw
So
that and
they
thought of
more
you. I
than
was like,
made
oh,
up for
yep,
that.
there you go.
Just
That's
go
cool.
see Pinhead.
Yeah,
Yep.
Josh,
But
I
that
did
is,
a podcast back a few months ago, early in the year, where we discussed. I may have mentioned this to you back then. You may not remember, but we discussed the book versus the movie.
mhm.
And rereading that, have you read? I take you've read the book, haven't you? Have you read
Oh yeah.
the Hellbound
In
Heart? Okay,
fact, I plan on at some point. I'm gonna kind of take a page out off of Monica Van Fleet's what she's been doing with the Dracula series and all
yeah,
that. I'm gonna where she on her YouTube channel she is like dissecting each chapter of Dracula. Well, I'm gonna
yeah,
do something similar with that with the Hellbound Heart. Only
Heart.
what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break it down, comparing each chapter to what happened in the movie and so forth. I'm gonna do that at some point, maybe
Very
later
cool.
in the year or so.
Okay, well, I will be there for that.
Yeah.
I hadn't read it since my 20s, and it was a blast. Rereading that again. So
But anyhow, that was a great topic on literacy. I was like really looking forward to seeing what
yeah,
Skylar was going to say about that.
Guys,
And
I got a bail. I apologize. I just wanted to say goodbye. It was so great to
Bye.
meet everybody here, and I look forward
Yes.
to joining
awesome,
another
Sean.
one.
So great to meet
Thank
you,
you
Mo.
so
Have
much for having me.
Great to meet you,
nice
Sean.
to see you,
a great
Sean.
night.
Yeah,
See you
nice to
guys.
meet
You
Bye.
you.
Good
too.
night.
See you, buddy.
All right,
Bye.
good night, Sean. Thanks for joining us. Okay, well, let's go on to our other Floridian, Kimberly. I think you had an interesting little topic to discuss tonight.
Yeah. Supernatural possession subgenre is my favorite subgenre of horror. And just wanted to see if you guys saw. I mean, we all know The Exorcist and all, the big popular ones, but wanted to talk about some hidden gem possession slash supernatural horror movies and see if you guys have maybe seen them or not. Because there's a
Okay.
couple I saw on Tubi, which is like Tubi has been like the MVP lately for me, like with these hidden
Oh, Tubi's
gems.
the best. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
the
Shutter was always
greatest
my
thing.
main one, but Tubi is really like popping out some movies I've never heard of, never seen.
Tubi's awesome.
So yeah, so they came out with a movie called two movies that I saw recently that was supernatural possession. The first one is Devil's Day. Have you guys seen that one?
Mm-mm.
I
No.
mean, you heard of it.
Really, really good.
Mm-mm.
And it's interesting. I saw it on Tubi first, and now Shutter has it.
Okay.
Devil's Stay, which is about uh, it's a unique twist on possession where a daughter, and it's foreign. I think it's Korean, and that just automatically makes it better in my book if it's Korean. But a daughter was possessed, and the exorcism went wrong, and the movie picks up after that. So it doesn't really. Most
Oh,
possession movies are showing you the exorcism and that whole
right.
process and what happens to the girl. And well, she's already passed away. So it's post exorcism and what happens. So it's super unique, really, really good, really creepy. So I recommend that one, Devil's Stay. And then Dark Nuns was another hidden gem, again,
Ooh.
Korean, on YouTube. And now it's on
Okay.
Shutter. That is phenomenal possession movie. I mean, really, really, really good.
Hmm.
I don't know. I just love possession movies. I feel like I don't know. Exorcist is my favorite movie of all time, but it's just I don't know. I just think that, and some people be like, "Oh, what's played out? How many more are we gonna get?" Type of
Hmm.
thing. But when it's done uniquely, like a unique twist on it, it could be really, really good.
So, are
Have you
you
guys seen
talking
The Crucifixion?
specifically?
Have you seen that on Tubi?
What's
Oh,
it?
sorry. What is
The
it?
Crucifixion,
Mm-mm. No, I may have heard
I've
of it.
heard of
another
it, but I haven't
out
seen
of the
it yet.
box possession banger, possession movie.
So, are you talking specifically demonic possession movies,
Yes,
or
yes,
okay,
yes.
okay?
Yep. Hmm.
Kimberly, have you ever seen? It was a knockoff of The Exorcist. It came out maybe a year or so later. It was Italian. It's called Beyond the Door. Have any of y'all heard of
No.
Beyond the
No.
Door?
Beyond the
And they made
door.
sequels too. I highly
Okay.
recommend check out Beyond the Door.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
it's not a girl that's possessed, but it's a wife that's possessed. It's been years since I've seen it, so I'm thinking she might be pregnant. It's like if you took
Beyond the
Rosemary's
door.
Baby and The Exorcist and kind of fused them together.
Oh, you got me. That's all I had to say. Because I
Yeah,
couldn't
and
find it tonight.
again, I haven't watched it in probably 15 years, but it was genuine, and it is very much an Exorcist ripoff, Rosemary's Baby ripoff, in a lot of ways. But it's genuinely scary. I thought it was
Okay.
genuinely. It has that Reagan possessed makeup effects, all that.
Ooh. Okay.
That is, you can call it derivative on some level, but I'm like you. I love The Exorcist is my favorite horror film. It's my second
Yeah.
favorite movie of all time. So like it cooks enough where it
Hmm.
cooks a good enough meal. It's not the Michelin 5-star
Okay.
Exorcist, but man, it's if you just want like a Chick-fil-A or just something simple to go out and eat, like it's you could do worse than
Okay.
Beyond.
Good.
And there's a
Yeah.
Beyond the Door 2, and I think there's a Beyond the Door 3,
Okay.
which I
Beyond the
have not
door.
seen
All
the
right.
third one. So,
Yeah. I don't know.
There were
Demonic possession has always been since I was a kid, like my favorite subgenre of horror. It's
yeah,
just so good.
there's
I don't
it's
a
See,
know.
I feel
movie
so
that
bad. I don't.
there's a
Go ahead,
movie that
Josh.
there's a movie that came out a couple years ago, and I think it was an Amazon Prime original. It might have been. I don't know where else it's on, but it's called The Exorcists, plural. And it's low budget, but it does star Doug Bradley as he plays
Hmm.
one of the priests trying to exorcise it, aka Pinhead. So it's kind of like, oh, now he gets to play a Catholic priest instead
Hmm.
of playing the Hell Priest. But it's kind of interesting. It's not a great movie, but it's good. It's worth a watch. What I liked about it too is he gets himself like a team of exorcists to deal with this one. He even gets this female Baptist minister who's also into it, which is something you never see. You never see like a
Right.
a woman also joining in
Right.
the fray, trying to
Hmm.
exercise. It's actually not too bad. I mean, there's some parts of it that's kind of dopey or whatever. It, wasn't made for very much, but
The
you know, it-
Exorcist. Okay.
yeah. And I think you can
it's
find it
the
on Amazon.
Exorcist plural.
Yeah,
The
just Exorcist.
Exorcist.
So instead of the
Okay.
Exorcist, it's add the S at the end. It came out in
Okay.
2023, I think, maybe
It's hard to
2024.
find good Exorcist or like not Exorcist movies, but possession movies like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Because The Exorcist is like Jaws, right? You can have 100 shark
Hmm.
movies, and
Exactly.
they will never remake Jaws, right? They'll never beat Jaws.
Right.
No.
It just will never happen.
Yeah.
No one will make a
The
better
best you
shark
can
movie.
come up with is Orca.
Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah, which
I would
is a
argue
movie I
that it's
really
not.
enjoy, but that, as far as the Jaws knockoffs were, that's
Yeah,
probably the top tier of them.
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think you're forgetting Santa Jaws, which was pretty damn
I'm
good.
not forgetting
John
So,
Santa
Bogue told
Jaws.
that for Christmas.
You're forgetting Sharknado.
Sharknado.
Remember
I
Deep
feel so
Water?
bad because
Deep
demonic
Water was
possession really not my subgenre, and I could the couple movies that came to my mind aren't like what you're talking about. I don't think because it's like maybe a person is being possessed by something, but it
Hmm.
doesn't necessarily have that theological edge. It doesn't have that
Hmm.
demonic presence. There's no exorcism in the film. Like I thought of the Pang brothers, The Eye, where she's sort of kind of
Oh
possessed,
yeah. Okay.
by the
Yeah.
sight
She's
of the woman
possessed by
who,
something, but not. It's not in that. Yeah. Yep.
right. Or Mirror Mirror, where she's being
Hmm.
possessed by a
yeah.
demon in the mirror, but there is
Mirror Mirror
no
comes
like
out.
exorcism. And then the only other one I can think of is one of my all-time favorite movies, but it's not a hidden gem, and that's The Exorcist 3, which
Oh, of
I would say
course.
is
Yeah.
probably like my favorite possession movie. But yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm sorry. I really wish I had more to contribute to this part, but I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to watch these movies.
Obsession. I would argue Obsession's kind of
It is a
you
possession
could call
movie.
it possession in a way,
Yeah.
right? Like it kind
It
of is.
is.
And I will.
Hmm.
Are there any Exorcist 2? Are there any Exorcist 2 apologists on here? I love The Exorcist 2.
Nope.
Okay,
Man, am I by
let's
myself
hear.
on that? Kimberly, are you not an Exorcist 2?
No.
It's
Oh
okay. My boyfriend loves it, so you're
man.
not
Okay.
alone, Kyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you remove it from like an Exorcist, like I swear it's actually like it gets on these lists for like one of the worst movies ever made, which is insane. It's like actually a pretty well made movie. Um, but yeah, I actually I carry water for all the Exorcist movies on some level, but but yeah, I'm trying to think of any other like solid possession movies offhand.
Um, there's Dark Nuns,
I
there's
know a funny
Crucifixion,
one.
there's what's the one you want?
Oh, getting back to horror comedies, how about the movie Repossessed?
Oh,
Oh
Oh
Which
yeah,
brought back Linda Blair, had
oh
Leslie
yeah,
Nielsen in it.
yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Oh
really not
my
a
yeah,
horror.
gosh.
It's a comedy. It's
Yeah,
basically a
it is
spoof of
funny.
Exorcist. I just thought it was funny that Linda Blair came back,
Yeah,
pretty much
yeah,
reprising her character.
she
Not
sure did.
technically, but really.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
that was like one that just popped in my
yeah.
mind a few minutes ago.
Hmm.
I
The
got you. I
Cleansing
haven't seen it
Hour on
before.
Shutter. Have you seen that, Molly? The Cleansing Hour. That's a pretty.
no.
It's
Uh-uh.
it has some comedic elements to it. But it's a good, possession,
The
demonic
cleansing
possession.
hour.
The
The
Cleansing
the
Hour.
cleansing
Hmm.
hour. Okay. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Oh.
Kimberly,
If you like Deadstream, you'll probably like the Cleansing Hour.
Okay. Yeah. I'll definitely add that to my watch list. The
Yeah.
cleansing hour. Yeah, for sure.
Kimberly, did you watch the Exorcist TV show? Did you watch the
Oh,
series? All right,
well,
cool. All right.
season
I was
two,
like,
not so
surely you
much, but
like
the
that.
very
Okay.
first season with Gina Davis, phenomenal,
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
phenomenal. And I didn't think it was
Yeah.
going to be good. I need to rewatch that actually, but
It was like
so
better than
good.
it should have. I mean, like it was excellent. I highly
Hmm.
recommend it.
Great
Es-
continuation.
Especially if you're like an Exorcist super fan. Um, and I will have something I'll say about The Exorcist when it's my turn here in a minute, or whenever my turn is for this. It's my daughter's hot take, which makes me want to get a paternity test and look into foster care. But I'm still not ruling it out. But I think she's the mailman's. Who? Anyway, I'll say it in a minute. Yeah, I'm trying. The is it the possession of Emily Rose? Is that the title? You remember
Yes, the
that
possession of
one?
Emily Rose.
Hmm.
The exorcism of Emily Rose. The
Exorcism.
exorcism of
Yes, not the
Emily Rose.
possession. The
Yeah,
exorcism of Emily Rose. Yeah, I remember that one being good.
that
That's a
one was
very good
very
one.
good.
I have
Oh
seen that. I do like
oh
that.
shit! The
Yeah,
Taking of Deborah Logan. Have you
I
that's
seen that
still
good
too?
haven't
too.
seen that.
Hmm. That's
I've
That
good
one's
needed to
too.
see
very.
that for such a long time. It's been on my watch list for like 10 freaking years or however long it's been out.
It's
I
pretty
need to see
scary.
it.
And
Yeah,
this isn't
that's
a
another good
movie,
one.
but because The Exorcist is my favorite horror book of all time. Like
Oh
it's
yeah, the
just
book is
it's
phenomenal.
so good, so good.
Hmm.
But there is
Yeah.
a book by an author named Justin Evans called A Good and Happy Child.
Really? What's that
And it
about?
is about a kid. This came out in the early aughts. I was still in my 20s, early 20s at that point. But it's basically this this adult telling his story of when he became possessed as a kid. And there's
Really?
some
Let me write
scenes in it
these
that
down so I
absolutely
don't
make,
forget.
like The Exorcist, makes the hair on my neck stand up. So like it's like really, really, really good. So, but it's called A
Okay.
Good and If you can still hear me, Kimberly, it's A Good and Happy Child. So, highly recommend it. But yeah, I'm trying to think of any other. I know a fun one that's not like one specific person being possessed, but Demons, the Italian horror film. Have y'all seen Demons or Demons 2?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Which is more zombie, I guess. But um,
We lost
what's the
Kimberly.
word?
I'm sure she'll be back.
Oh,
Yep,
okay,
here she
she's coming
comes.
back. Okay.
There we go. There
Can
we
you
go.
guys see me?
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep, we
Okay.
can see you.
Kimberly,
We can hear you.
I missed what you just said.
oh, I was just reiterating the title: A Good and Happy Child.
A good and happy child. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I had correspondence with that author afterwards, and like email back and forth for about a
Hmm.
little while. I haven't talked to the guy in 100 years, but like he's just a cool guy. So always trying to push his work. So, um, but yeah, I was just trying to think of any other possession that's just like stands out that's like really really good. Ultimately, Paranormal Activity, that series kind of became somewhat of a possession
Yeah, I
story.
really enjoy most of those as well. I love the first
The
couple
first
of
three are
Paranormal
solid.
Activity movies, and then the fifth one is my personal favorite, the marked one.
Oh, I haven't seen
And
that.
that's got some nice possession stuff in it.
There was another found footage possession movie where a guy is like a preacher and he goes into like this like teenage girl's possessed and he goes in to help her. It might just be called The Possession,
The
but it's a found
possession.
footage thing that came. Yeah, it came out like 10 years ago. It's the guy. He's on Better Call Saul, the show Better Call Saul, but he plays the preacher. Um, and then ultimately it just comes to like, and she's older, where Reagan's like 12, this girl's like 16. But it's kind of a similar situation. She's bedbound, and then it's a slow build tension with her becoming more and more like the possession, showing those traits and side effects or whatever, and then ultimately it's it like comes to like an ultimate battle like any possession priest story does. But then the endings like the ending's really good. I was actually pretty impressed with it. So
Nice.
yeah, but I recommend. I think it's called if I'm gonna look that up. If that's not what it is, I'll DM you and let you know
Okay.
what the actual title is. So
Yeah. Tyler, do you like the demonic possession subgenre?
do I?
I was asking Skylar if she likes that genre
Oh, I'm sorry. I think
subgenre.
you said Kyle.
Oh,
My
I'm
bad.
sorry. I didn't realize you were my dog was being weird. Sorry. um,
Yeah, my dog's being weird too right now.
um, it's not like my first choice, but I'm open to watching things from it. Um, like I can't think of any on the top of my head. Well, I guess technically Amityville horror counts to some extent,
Possession, yeah.
Yeah,
but
Possession, yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's the only one I know I've for sure have watched. And I was like, oh, that one's good. But I need to
Yeah.
add the ones that have been recommended here now because
Yeah.
these ones sound good.
there's plenty of them. Thing with demonic possession, Exorcist for me set the bar so damn high
Yeah.
that I just can't get into any of them. I've actually never seen Exorcist 3, even though everyone, including Molly, tells me I need to
Josh,
see
You
it.
You
have to
have
see
to
it.
see it.
Josh. Oh my God! Watch The Exorcist 3. It's one of the greatest movies ever made.
Yeah, it's
When
so
you get
good. Oh
off
my
here,
gosh.
when you get off here, go watch it. It's
I'll watch
amazing.
it.
Well, we'll see. Here I is
Speaking of
going
George
to.
C. Scott,
Well, I know,
Yeah,
and
it's
Brad
George C.
Dourif's
Scott
in it.
and
Yeah.
Brad Dourif in one of the best performances that either of them, and that's saying a lot because they
Right.
Yes, it
always turned
is.
out great performances. So it's
Brad Dourif,
incredible, and like it's really nothing like The Exorcist. It's a
it's
very
not.
Yeah, that's what
completely
I've
different
heard.
movie.
It just has
Mm-hmm.
been
Yeah.
one that just kind of there, and I just haven't
Oh
snagged it
man,
just yet.
it's a
So, but
fantastic detective story. It's got maybe the best jump scare in a horror
Yeah.
film.
Yep.
One top
Hmm.
couple, maybe Jaws is there up there with
Yep.
it.
hmm
But yeah, you get that epic, intense Brad Dorff where like he's just like he's given his monologue and this single tear just like comes out, and it's just like, and he's done that in a couple other. He did it in Graveyard Shift too, like where you're just like, man, this
hmm
guy's going. He's in this like
Yeah.
like,
that's
and
a
I
guy
love
that if
Graveyard
I
Shift.
ever get to meet in person, I just want to give him a hug,
I
just
met Dorff.
because
I
he's
met him.
yeah, yeah.
Oh
And it
yeah.
was
That's cool.
unfortunately weird, kind of because of the guy that was in front of me was such a just
He
like
kind of drained him a
alien.
little bit.
He was such an alien from another planet, and he was like, he brought out this giant. He had this. Okay, it looked like the guitar case from Desperado, like with all the guns in it. But
Oh,
he opened it up. He opened it like this dude was like by himself, like alien from another planet, like came down to Earth to get Brad Dorff's. I mean, just a bizarre. He's just the kind of guy you didn't really want to get real close with this to the guy,
No.
and he made no sense. He just I don't know what was going on with him, but anyway, so he gets out this giant Chucky doll, like giant Chucky doll, like half my size, and then like he throws it up on the table and with like four other dolls, And he's like, "You're not supposed to do that." And so my daughter and I are just kind of standing there, and it's super awkward. And then Brad Dorff goes to sign it. And he's like, "No, no, 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 not right there." He's like, "Right here, right here." And he kept
Oh
doing that to
God.
him. And so Dorff was like trying. Brad Dorff was like trying to be polite and cool and all that. And
Yeah.
like he looked at, like, we kind of looked at each other like, "What the fuck," you know? And his daughter, his wife, and his daughter was also like right next to him too, Fiona Dorff. And so, but finally that guy walked off, and it was just kind of awkward. Like you could tell he was frazzled by that guy because he was just,
Yeah.
again, very bizarre behavior. And I mean, Brad Dorff's a little elderly man now. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he's barely acting anymore. I mean, he's in his 70s, like,
Hmm.
and this guy just came off super sus, man.
Hmm.
And so, you know, I don't know. I wish the experience could. I mean, he was a gentleman. He was super sweet, all that good stuff. And you know, but yeah, but it was super cool. I met him in, well, actually, your old stomping ground, Josh, Indianapolis, a couple years
Okay.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So,
spent. Oh boy, those were my crazy years there. So.
that's a whole nother
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, he signed the.
Offline, it's an episode, not online.
Uh,
But anyhow, well, Kyle, since we got you on anyway, it was going to come to you anyway. But
Wait,
our last
one more thing
episode.
before we get to COD. I just want to
Oh,
ask:
go ahead.
Has is anyone excited for the Exorcist remake coming out next year?
I
No.
don't watch the other one.
Not,
I didn't know there
no.
was a remake.
Yeah. I mean, I like this director better than the guy that did the last Halloween trilogy. David, what's his name?
David Gordon Green.
David Gordon Green. Thank you, Green and Ween or whatever. Halloween Green. Um, I like that director, but I'm
It's
mixed on it.
Flanagan, Mike Flanagan.
Yeah, but Flanagan doing a remake. I just don't really want another. I just don't want an Exorcist remake. I just don't
We
We
want
don't
it.
want
need
it.
one. We
No,
really
just like
don't need
Possession.
one.
We don't need it. No.
No,
Yeah.
not at all. Not at all. This last one didn't work out. And as much as I like, I like, I like him, I just am like, dude, like, go make a Stephen King movie. Go make The Dark Tower. Go make The
Right.
Well,
Dark
yeah,
Tower. Quit
we know that
fucking with
he does
Exorcist.
King adaptations better than anyone in the game. Just give him the
Yeah.
entire King library, let him go nuts, and
Yes,
have
he's
that
the
be,
heir
the
to
movie.
Frank
I
Darabont.
will say,
And
though, I am less unexcited. Hold on. That was a stupid way of saying it. I'm less irritated by the Exorcist remake than I am the fact that we're getting yet another Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. So, I
yeah,
The guy
mean,
isn't the Obsession guy doing it?
I think so, yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
who's doing
Yep.
it?
The guy who did the kid who did Obsession.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it? I still can't get
Yep.
Oh
excited
yeah,
about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Man, once you get past the Texas Chainsaw 3, well, I kind of have a nostalgia for the fourth one, with McConaughey and Zellweger.
I
But
love that movie. I don't care what
yeah,
anyone says. I think
next
it's
generation,
great.
yeah, dude, it kind of slaps. It's pretty cool actually.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not good, but it's like,
Mhm.
I just remember seeing A Time to Kill, and then they, like, after McConaughey and Dazed and Confused, after he kind of started to blow up, and then it was like him and Zellweger are on the cover of, like, I'm like, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like, what the fuck? I was like, I have to watch this, and I was like, it was, I don't know, it was kind of fun, I guess, but
It's a good time. It's
yeah,
different, that's for
it
sure.
is. It's not the first two, which are the ultimate, which actually, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, is playing at least through the Regal cinemas. I'm going to go see it next Tuesday night. It just
Nice.
came out. It just came out to theaters a couple years in the last couple years, but there's a new documentary coming out about it, and so
Hmm.
they're re-releasing it for that, I
Oh.
guess. So yeah. So it might be playing at your theaters this next week, your local theaters this next week. If you have Regal, if you have the Regal cinemas,
I think it's coming to. I don't have. I have like whatever it is Cinemark, but I think it's coming to that theater sometime this
yeah.
week to my local one. So
Okay.
maybe if I get a chance, I might go. I just watched the movie a few weeks ago on my typical annual rewatch, but
Yeah, yeah. I saw it in the big screen last year, and it was the first time I got to see it on the big screen, and it was it could come out once a month and I would go see it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's my second after The Exorcist. I think it's the best horror film ever made after The Exorcist.
Mhm.
I just don't
It's up
think
there for me too. Yeah, I would put it in my top 5 probably of
yeah.
all time. Yeah.
You would put it in your top. You would put it in your top spot if it was Jeffrey Combs in the Marilyn Burns role, right?
Yes, I would. Yes, I would.
Yeah.
Yes,
That
indeed, I
would be
would.
amazing. I would actually love to see that. So
I
I
would
would
love to.
I probably have it in my top 20, probably Texas Chainsaw
okay.
Massacre. But then again, I have horror's very stacked. So if you can make my top 20, you've done a damn good job. So
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, same here. Like,
Hmm.
And
I have like, well, I usually have like two, top 5, 10, 20 lists, because there's the top 5 horror movies that I love more than any other horror movie, and then
yeah.
there's the top 5 greatest horror movies ever made, which to
mm,
me there's a distinction between the two. So like Jaws and Texas Chainsaw Massacre would be on that top 5 of like the
Yeah.
greatest horror movies ever made, but they
right.
aren't necessarily always on my top 5 personal
Oh, I see what
favorites
you're
just
saying.
in
Yeah,
the
I
moment.
agree with that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to hear everybody like if you created like a top 25, top 30 list, and just like everybody went around like everybody's 25th, everybody's 24th. Like I would love
Ooh,
to
that'd
know
be a
your
fun
own and
topic
You
compare.
know
sometime.
Very
what we
fun.
can do? I tell you what, that's a good top. We'll do that
That
in
is a good topic.
November for
Okay.
our very last, like for season 3. That
Ooh,
would be
that'd
a
be a good
great one
season
to.
cap. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
take the horror list serious. Like I bring
Me
that
too.
shit. Like,
I'll be working on
Yeah,
it
me
for
too.
weeks.
very thought out. So, Scala, what's your favorite horror movie? Do you
My
have?
favorite horror movie, just in
Yeah,
general,
yeah.
mine's
If you got
American
one.
Psycho.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Which do you consider that a comedy or just more straightforward horror? You
I
consider it a
consider
comedy?
it a black comedy, so like
Yeah.
dark
Okay.
comedy.
It's
Okay.
satirical for
Hmm.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And
Well,
Kimberly,
Okay.
what's your favorite horror movie of all time? The
The
Exorcist?
Exorcist.
Yeah. And Kyle?
Josh's is Obsession. And, no, I mean
followed by
Hellraiser.
Halloween Resurrection, followed by
Yes. I mean to say he's obsessed with
In a
Hellraiser.
Violent Nature. That's got to be up there too.
Oh
As I
man.
roll my eyes,
Oh, you didn't like In a Violent Nature either?
Oh, I
I
love
hated.
Violent
I
Nature.
mean, I love the killer. Okay, but everyone there should not have been a final girl. That was the most
Oh.
useless, maybe the worst
You
final
see?
girl of all time.
Okay. All right. Sorry. I should save this
I
question
love
for
it.
when we get to my topic, because I'm going to have questions for you that relate to my topic. So let's just save that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, first let's go back to Kyle because
Okay.
last month when we talked about movies that we like and everyone else hates, and then movies that everyone loves that we don't get, which hence why I talked about this obsession last month. So Kyle, you're going to pretty much bring up the same subject here, so I'm curious to hear a few
Well,
of your choices.
it's funny because and just full disclosure, I didn't get a chance to watch the last episode, so I didn't know that's what you all went over, and so I was just like, "Hey, this is my topic," and you're like, "Well, we went over that, but still do it," and I was like, "Okay." And I'll just name a few because I know it's getting late, and we still want to cover Molly too. So especially since you all have already talked about this, but some just kind of spread out over time that I've watched. I mean, probably since I was like in my early 20s, but some ones that not like huge hot takes, but like ones that I don't know, like I didn't hate them, but like I just don't. They don't really speak to me on whatever level. I'm sure I could think of some that I outright hate, but but there was one from the '70s called "Let's Scare Jessica to Death."
Oh, you didn't
Okay.
like that
I
one.
didn't, and that's one that there's two that I'm going to name that I need to rewatch that I watched in my 20s that like it may have been my mood. I don't really know, but I just was like I felt underwhelmed by it, and I went into it with expectations pretty high because it's considered a classic in the genre. And my cousin and I at the time watched it. I may still been in college, and he's also a huge horror fan. And we were both just kind of like, "Wow, that's it? Okay, it was fine, But so I need to rewatch that one. That's one that was a bit of a letdown at the time, but a lot of people seem to like. There is one that also came out in like maybe around 2004, 2005. I wanted to like it, especially because it also has Halloween in it. The season or or I'm sorry, the Holiday Inn. Excuse me.
Hmm.
But the movie May, May,
I
with
haven't seen that
Angela
one.
I've heard
Bettis.
of it, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah. So I could not get into that one, and that's one that's become like a really like Roger Ebert was a big fan of it, and like
Well, then
he,
right,
Ah,
then
then
don't
I
feel bad
immediately
for
hate
not.
it.
Yeah, if
yeah,
you didn't
because
like,
you
if
know
he
how
liked
he's
it and you didn't, then well, that explains it. There, it's
well,
Ebert.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
so he was pretty warm to it, and you know how he is historically with horror movies. Horror movies and
Hmm.
comedies are his blind spots of hate. And even with The Exorcist, was if you read that review of his initial review, of The Exorcist, it's pretty backhanded compliments.
Hmm.
So even though he did like Halloween and he liked the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, oddly enough, but yeah, May just there was something there in that I don't know, I didn't care for it, I didn't like it, and it's a really a pretty well loved cult film within the horror community, and I don't know. It's one I need to rewatch because I don't know why. I need to go back and see. Maybe I like it now compared to then, but it did not resonate with me at all. I did not like the character of May. Um, I didn't really. I know the ending was supposed to be profound in some way, and I don't know. It just fell flat for me. And then some more recent ones, even though Insidious isn't that recent. That was kind of like half of a decent horror film. I thought the first half was pretty decent, and then it just devolved. Once he goes into like the fantasy floaty world looking for his son, I just was like, okay,
Further.
I've lost. It just, I was like, this movie sucks. But like, and I like The Conjuring, but those whole universes, I just don't. I just they're a little too. They're a little
I kind of agree
too.
with you on those.
Yeah.
The
I would
first
like
one's
The
fine.
Conjuring more if they didn't turn Ed and Lorraine Warren into superheroes. Like
Yes.
I
Exactly.
would have less of a
Given
problem. You know,
Yes.
given the
it's
real life Ed and
yeah.
Lorraine
Given who they
Warren.
actually
I was
were, like what kind of
shyster.
people they were. Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I
I
get
would
it.
have to
It's
say.
I agree with
Oh,
that.
sorry, sorry.
what's
Sorry.
that?
Welcome back, Kimberly.
Thanks.
Um,
Ed and Lorraine, like, yeah,
yeah,
turn them into
garbage
something
people,
completely
just
different.
true, pure garbage people, and the fact that we've turned them into
Yeah.
these like iconic, legendary, and literal superheroes. What was it like the second or third Conjuring movie? They were practically Marvel characters by the end of that film, and it's
Oh,
just like,
I
what
haven't
are you
watched
people
it.
doing?
I never watched
Yeah.
it
I
past.
didn't watch it either.
Same thing with Insidious. I've only seen the first Insidious, which I thought was okay.
Yeah.
I thought The Conjuring was good, but like you said, I don't really want to see anymore after that. And
You're
yeah,
not missing much with either. I've seen
Yeah.
all of the Conjuring movies. I only like the first one, and I also genuinely enjoy Annabelle. I thought Annabelle was really
I
good.
haven't seen those or the Nun.
Yeah,
Those
and then the
movies in
Nun,
that
I thought
universe.
the Nun was really disappointing. I
Oh,
personally, I
so
wanted the Nun
disappointing.
to be a lot better than it was.
I went to
Um,
Catholic school, so I have no interest in seeing a movie with a nun in it.
but I
Yeah.
love, well, that's the thing though, is I love Bonnie Aarons, who plays the Nun. I love her, and I was just so happy that she got her own movie
She's the
that that's
dumpster
why I had
monster,
to
right?
watch it. Hmm.
She's the dumpster monster from the dumpster late the from Mulholland Drive.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I think. But yeah, that
Yeah.
whole
Oh,
the
is she?
Conjuring
Okay.
Insidious universe, like those universes, they're so tailor made for like general audiences that like don't aren't really horror fans that just like want to go for the
Hmm.
jump scares, and that's fine. I'm glad those movies exist for people, but
They're good
in
gateway horror movies. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah, and The Conjuring's fun, and if that came out when I was 13 years old, I would have loved it. Um, again, it's fun. Now here's where we might get into the more controversial ones. So the movie Us,
Hmm.
I did. I was not crazy about it. I think it would have been a fantastic 40 minute omnibus anthology in like a if Jordan Peele had made like a Twilight Zone esque. I know he hosted the updated Twilight Zone, but if he had made a movie with like three different um, mini movies within a movie and
Kind of like
made
an
just like an anthology
anthology.
series. Yeah, I think it would have been an awesome sci-fi Twilight Zone, but stretched out into a 2 hour movie, it just did not work for me. I felt like it just started to fall flat by the end of it. and there's a lot of great things about it. I don't dislike it. I thought it was pretty solid, but compared to Nope and Get Out, I think it's definitely the weakest of the his trilogy of movies so far.
Yeah, I think it was one of
And
those
it's
movies where we were all so dazzled by Lupita Nyong'o's performance that it's
yes,
part.
yes.
Yeah, I think that's true. That story wise, it's kind of the weaker of the three. I agree.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
acting and everything is phenomenal. Like it is a awesomely made movie. Like I'm
Mhm.
not, but just the world underneath, like it was rushed into a way and not fleshed out enough. It's like if you're going to go this way, and I'm all about ambiguity. I'd rather things not be explained to me, but like I don't know, there's just I don't know, and I need to rewatch that one too because again, it might work for me this time.
Yeah.
Because I had very high expectations going into it
Mm.
after Get Out.
Especially coming, yeah, after coming
But
Yeah.
out.
then then he threw a 90-mile-an-hour fastball with Nope because I loved,
I
love, love,
did.
love
I
Nope.
enjoyed Nope probably more than I did Us. So yeah, I agree with you
Yeah,
on
it
that
may
one.
be my favorite of his. Honestly, I may like it
Really?
even more than Get Out. Yeah, I
Really?
love Nope. Yeah,
Huh.
I mean, I think Get Out is probably the most well-rounded, his best probably, but Nope was just a blast, just like the Spielbergian, kind of horror sci-fi comedy hybrid or whatever.
See,
But
Nope
the
was one
one,
that I had to watch a couple times because
okay,
I thought Get Out it blew my mind. I mean,
yeah,
that was
oh
definitely a
yeah,
situation where I agreed with everyone who loved it because it was so
Mm-hmm.
goddamn good. And then I watched Nope before I watched Us. Nope was the next Jordan Peele film that I watched, and
yeah,
it was nothing like what I was expecting. I had too many expectations going into it coming out of Get Out, and
Right.
so it was like, okay, I need to rewatch this. And when I rewatched it, knowing what to expect, I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
yeah.
And really, really quickly, if I could also just go back to the first movie that you talked about, I would definitely recommend giving Let's Scare Jessica to Death another chance because I think it's a movie that doesn't live up to its title, and
Okay,
it definitely creates some weird expectations in the mind, but it is actually, I think, a really great film. And so I would
that's a
highly
good point
recommend
about
giving
the
it
title.
a yeah.
Okay. I will put that back on my list, but that is a great point about the title. It definitely does not fit. It definitely
It's
does not
way too
fit.
good a title for the movie that we get, but
Very true.
it isn't a bad movie. It's just not as good as the title suggests
Very
it's going
true.
to be.
Hmm.
Yeah.
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 But I would say the most recent one that I've seen that I absolutely just fucking hated was Long Legs.
I
I
still haven't
hated
seen
Long
it.
Legs. Um, Again, there's half a good movie in there. Making
Yeah,
Monroe.
I
I,
agree.
I'm
Yeah,
with
yeah,
you.
yeah.
And
Like
it's
Yeah.
interesting because when we get to me, I'm going to be discussing a movie that stars the actress that was in that, and she's much better in this movie. I'm going to talk about later on, but
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, dude, she was in The Guest and It Follows, so she's a horror
Mm-hmm.
queen to me. Like, I
Hmm.
love Meg Monroe, and she's done a couple others that are excellent too. So, I mean, and she was good in it. Like, did a really great job. Nick Cage was interesting in whatever the fuck he was doing in it. Like, it was, you know what I mean? Like, it was awesome. I was all for it. And that first half, I was in. I was like, man, this could be fucking great. And then Oz Perkins does what he always does in every fucking movie he makes, and he just like whiffs it in the last half of the movie. And when the mother does that exposition dump, like I'm a child, I was just like, this is and then what it ends up just not to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen Longlegs, but like just what it ends up devolving into by the third act, I was just like, this is terrible. And so he has some, like Oz Perkins has some strengths, like he's good at ripping off David Fincher, very good cinematography, things like that. But like ultimately, when it comes to like pulling through a full fleshed out story, he has let me down every time. I haven't even seen The Monkey, and I've heard it's actually pretty fun. But he's got a new one coming out that I'm just like, I don't even give a shit about it because I don't trust him. I don't think we're in good hands with him. I don't really care for him anyway, like just from interviews and stuff, really. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Like I just was, and that I was so stoked for Long Legs, right? The best horror trailer in the last at least decade. Just excellent
Yeah, the
marketing
marketing
for
was
it.
phenomenal.
Phenomenal. It was better than the movie. And I don't know. He just again, and I might come back to that one day and really like it. I don't know, but man, I just was like, when people would like sing its praises, I'm like, you're fucking crazy. That movie was awful, you know. But yeah, it was that, and then the other one that's not a horror movie, but Ari Aster's Eddington. I absolutely loathed. I loathed that, even though it's not a horror film. I mean, watch it if you are, you know, like again on the desert island with nothing, and Eddington, the DVD of Eddington happens to be in a cave or some shit. Sure, watch it, but I almost like champion people to watch it just to have a conversation with them to see if they, because the human gaze, you know, who has written with us with Scare Stack and stuff like that. He was actually like a big fan of it, and we've kind of talked back and forth about it. And I'm not even really great at articulating why I don't like it, but I'd have to just like really think about it again. But man, it just was terrible. But I think Longlegs is the worst thing I've seen that like had so much potential. Awesome concept, an awesome horror villain. You know, you got Nick Cage doing Nick Cage things.
That's how I feel about Jordan Peele's Him. Him was horrible.
Oh, I haven't seen him. I don't even know that I've heard of
I didn't
him.
know it existed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's his latest movie, Jordan Peele.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I already had one out. Okay.
Now,
When
good.
did that come out?
It's
I heard
with
nothing
the guy
about
from Scary
that.
Movie. It's with Marlon Wayans. Maybe last year.
Yeah, did he
Where
direct it
was
or he
the
just produced it?
marketing on that movie? Like, how have we never heard of it? That's so weird.
Yeah, it came out last year, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
Skyla's
Oh.
trying to.
Skyla,
Skyla's,
what's up?
Can you hear us, Skyla? Or can we hear you?
she might be on mute.
Skyla, are you muted?
I see her fingers doing stuff.
No, we can't hear you.
I'm just happy
Oh,
that
no.
other people are having technical issues besides me. Usually it's me who's like, "Hello, I can't see you."
Excellent.
But yeah, that's pretty. That's just a few to throw out there. I mean, I could name off more, but that's just a handful that. And I think Longlegs is pretty divisive. I don't know that that's like a good example of one that a lot of people love. But Skylar, what were you gonna say? Oh shit, you're still muted.
We still cannot hear you, Skyla.
Skylar, write it down and put the paper up to the screen.
Or put it in the
Yeah,
chat.
like an unfriended, just like scroll it on the page.
Yes.
Oh no.
Keep taking off my camera.
Is there any? I know obsession, but could you guys name off one that would fall under that for you guys? I know you already went through some of these last time, but or do any of these? Do you agree with any of these other than Longlegs?
I agree with most of yours. I tend to not focus on or talk about movies that I don't like. It's just like this obsessive thing with me where I hate reviewing movies that I don't care for. But I have plenty of movies that I hate, I promise. I'm human. So like there are plenty of movies I don't like. I just don't normally talk about it. But,
it's not fun writing about movies you don't like, you know?
Yeah,
I don't enjoy it.
I'm not a fan of that. I mean, I know that that's criticism, you know what I mean? But I think that there's a way to constructively criticize and celebrate a film at the same time. But there are movies that I feel are kind of, I can't do that with. And so I just don't talk about them because it's like, okay, I just can't. I can't remember which ones I chose last time we talked about this, but I know like, oh yeah, I do. I remember. Robert Eggers' Nosferatu is one that I really did not like. Yeah, so that would be like my number one pick of recent movies that everyone was really raving about. I mean, it was even nominated for at least one Academy Award, I think. And I really don't see the appeal, and I definitely don't see why we even freaking needed it.
Because it was better than Herzog's, that's why.
I mean, maybe I guess.
You think it's better than Herzog's?
Here's my hot take. We're going to get in a fight.
Well, see, I didn't even. I know we talked about Herzog's version last time as well, and I can't remember who it was that was defending it, which I totally understand and respect.
I think it
might have been Yanni. I don't remember, but I didn't like Herzog's version either. To me, my thought with Nosferatu is that it's not just a film. It is a huge, important part of film history. And it's, that has been around for such a long time. I think that it's the only version we ever needed. Kind of like Fritz Lang's Metropolis. It would be like if somebody tried to remake Metropolis. You're not just it doesn't need to be updated. It doesn't need to be modernized for a new audience. It should be studied for exactly what it is in the time it came out and why it is, it's just, I don't know, it needs to be untouched. And I feel that way about Nosferatu, just like I feel about Metropolis. There are a few, really important films in our early history that I feel like we just need to leave alone. So they're the only one that exists, so that we are forced to kind of go back and study that exact version for all the reasons. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I guess, and I'm a fan of Eggers. I love The Witch. Lighthouse is probably my favorite of his. I didn't love The Northman, but I like The Northman. But there's something about another Nosferatu remake. It's almost like he's cosplaying in some way with that. It just didn't feel. I'm I don't need this. It's I don't know.
Well, and I didn't feel like he brought that. I didn't feel like there was anything really new brought to the story, and the performances also. Don't get me wrong, I really like the people who were in it. Although, and I hate to say this, I do, but Johnny Depp's daughter, I can't remember her name.
I don't want her in that. I'm just that was another
that's
thing.
Where I totally disagree with you. I thought she was great in the movie.
I really don't. I did not enjoy her performance, but I don't know if it was her that was the problem or if it was the part as it had been written for her. It might have just been the material itself, but something about her character really didn't work for me. And so it's just what. If we're not bringing anything new to the table, and no one but Willem Dafoe is really, kind of bringing a new thing to this film, what is the point of it? I don't know. Okay, I'm done.
Skylar, you back up where we can hear you?
Skylar, I miss you. We can't hear you still.
Skylar, pick up your computer and throw it. Then bring it back.
Okay. What did you have?
Did you accidentally mute it in the app? Because I did that earlier.
What was that? Oh.
I was asking if Skyla accidentally muted it in the app, because I did that earlier, in my settings. I had to go back in.
Guys, it's hot in Kentucky, man. I'll tell you.
I'm sorry. So sorry. I wish I could give you guys our weather. We've had really drizzly, kind of chilly weather. I think right now it's
That's
75
what I want
degrees.
now.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it is 97 here.
I'm so sorry.
I said, I'm just above Nashville, so it's it is just insanely hot.
Well, okay. She's still trying. Yeah, she's going to try something here. So, Molly, let's go to your topic, because I know you've been looking at some newer films of recent.
So what I wanted to talk about really is contemporary slasher movies. So I'm writing a book, and the book is part virtue ethics and part slasher film studies. So basically the purpose of the book is to put forth the argument that slasher films... Yes, we can hear you. Yay, Skyla's back.
I had to switch back to my AirPods. I don't know what's
going on. We can't see her, but I'm
just glad to hear you again. Did you have any thoughts on Kyle's topic?
I was agreeing with Kimberly that Him was a horrible movie.
Oh, okay.
It was so bad.
Okay, so another person who's seen the movie then.
That's unfortunate.
It was so bad. It was weird because I don't really care about sports like that, but I was like, oh, this trailer looks interesting, and I'd never seen a horror movie about football. And then I saw it, and I realized,
well, it's about
horror
football?
Movies. Yeah. But the trailer kind of misleads you, to be honest. You do not think it is what it is about.
But anyhow, Molly.
Sorry, no, I'm so sorry. I just didn't want to... I want to make sure everybody had a chance to say what they wanted to say. I didn't want to... But yeah, so basically the book is... The idea behind the book is to put forth to make the argument that slasher movies can teach us how to be better people. And, but the problem that I ran into, I sort of hit a wall, which is that my knowledge of slasher movies pretty much ends with like 2001 to 2003. Like that's pretty much the last time that I really watched any newer slasher films. I kind of stopped watching them after a while, primarily because slasher movies are still geared at a younger audience. No, so as we get older, the newer slasher movies become less and less relevant to us. And so that's part of it. And the other part is just that I really enjoy the older slasher films. But I realize that if I want to do this right, if I really want to do this correctly and talk about virtue ethics in slasher movies, I need to familiarize myself with what the slasher subgenre is really doing now, what it's doing today, and how it's reflecting our virtues and values as people today. Because I can look at any gaggle of horror movies from the 80s and 90s and tell you exactly why the slasher movies, you know, why the archetypes in those movies existed, what they were reflecting about society, what they taught, you know, what they can teach us. Nowadays, and this is why I was so excited about you bringing up In a Violent Nature, I have not seen it. It's on my research list, but I'm curious, and also with what Skyla said about Obsession, which I know is not a slasher movie, but about people not being able to identify who the real villain is and who the real victim is. Those are the kinds of questions I'm asking right now in my research with modern slasher films. So the question I have, and the topic I had, is what are some contemporary slasher movies that you guys have seen that I need to be watching for this? Because I've so far watched like just a few, and I'm finding that the values are changing, the characters are changing. What we value from a good person, from a final girl, for example, is really changing from what it was in the 80s and 90s. And so yeah, what are some contemporary slasher movies that you guys have seen, and if any, and which ones should I be watching?
Stream, which I
Stream, yes, Jeffrey Combs.
Which I am so shocked that you have not seen. You have to turn in your Jeffrey Combs #1 fan card until you go see. I cannot believe you have not seen a Jeffrey Combs movie. That's like me not seeing an Ashley Lawrence movie.
I know. Well, to be fair, there are a couple Jeffrey Combs movies I've never seen because I've never seen any of the Transformers movies, and he's in those. But I've also not seen Stream, and I really need to, and it's been on my watch list, so that's on my research. So I have my research list, which is where I'm putting together all the slasher movies that I need to see. So Stream, I'm putting on there. Does anybody else have any other recommendations?
I would say Pearl is kind of a slasher movie to some degree.
Okay. Pearl. Well, then, would you say that X and Maxine are also kind of like fall into that?
Yeah, you might as well watch all three of them.
Yeah.
Okay. I've seen them, but I didn't watch them. I've seen them, but I didn't watch them through, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't watch them when I was writing this book, so I need to watch them again and try to look at them through that lens. Okay, so Pearl.
Night of the Reaper from last year, which is a Shudder original, is another one.
Okay.
I haven't seen it, but there's Clown in a Cornfield. I know some people.
I've seen Clown in a Cornfield, actually. I really enjoy it. It's a good example. But here's the thing that's so weird about contemporary slasher movies is that the ones, most of them are referential. That's what the slasher subgenre has become. It's become predominantly referential. So these slasher movies, they either completely follow the existing formula and pay homage to that, and they're self-aware, or they go to the extreme opposite end of that. One of the ones that I watched recently was like that, where the whole time through the whole movie you're thinking that this is the final girl, but in the end it turns out she's the killer, kind of like High Tension, but not done nearly as well. It's interesting. I am having a hard time finding contemporary slasher films that are not just basically following the exact same formula of the slashers from the 80s, right down to the characters and the, making the self-aware referential slasher movies. I'm having a hard time finding modern slasher movies that don't fall into that category.
What I'll say about Night of the Reaper is it acts in the beginning like it's following that typical progression, but it flips at the very end.
Okay.
And I'm not going to say anything more about it. It's not an overly gory movie. There's one really gory part in it that will make you jump. not a very high kill count. It's almost more suspense layered.
Right.
I
Well, and
think.
that's okay. That's okay. The focus of my research is on the characters, so it really
Right.
doesn't matter if there's a lot
I
of
think
gore,
you'll
you
like
know.
the character, particularly the final girl in Night of the Reaper. I will say
Okay.
about Stream, the one negative I have is who ends up being the final girl. I didn't like much, but the rest of the movie and the rest of the cast is so good that it more than makes up for it. But
Well, it's really interesting too, because like Terrifier would be a good example of a contemporary slasher film where none of the characters have any recognizable values, like at all.
Yeah.
And that's what I find really interesting is like in the 80s, all of the characters who were either victims or heroes had recognizable values.
mm-hmm.
And, that in turn, especially if you watch them as a kid, you sort of, learn these learned behaviors from characters that you see in movies and TV all the time. And so you can learn how to become a better person by watching slasher movies, but is that true today? That's the other question that I'm going to have to ask. I didn't intend to ask it when I set out to write the book, but I realized as I was doing it, it's like, okay, I don't want to just focus on 80s slasher movies and 90s slasher movies. I want to focus on all of them. And it does seem like we're getting less and less. It matters less and less if our characters have values. It matters less and less if they're good people, and what makes a good person is there's hardly a definition for it anymore, which there used to kind of be. And so it's just really interesting to me. So yeah, that's what I mean. Like any slasher movie that is modern that would fall into that category is something I'm interested in watching. And I have a list, but I want to know which ones I should be like really rushing to see. So like Stream, I will definitely watch, and Night of the Reaper is on my list. I'll definitely want to watch that. And so if you guys have any other recommendations, that'd be awesome.
I mean, the ones I'm thinking about all kind of do that weird time travel thing where they do go back to the 80s,
Yeah.
Yeah, Final
like
Girls
Final
and
Like the
Girls
Final Girls,
or
yeah. That one,
yeah,
the Final Girls is going to be one of
yeah,
my penultimate films. I have
which
yeah.
was
I
a
have
good
like a
one.
set of movies that I'm going to be using as like case studies, and the Final Girls is one of them because I think it's
Okay.
excellent. But again, it's like you said, it's time traveling, it's referential, it's they're following a formula that was made 30 years earlier. So yeah.
Well, that's what I
Baby.
loved about one of the things that was so great about In a Violent Nature is like you're not really you learn about the actual human characters, the victims, on some level briefly,
Yeah.
but you're following Jason basically, right? Like you're
Yeah.
following
Hmm.
him and you're learning things about him as well. So like it puts you on a different side. It gives you the like a completely different point of view than what
Yeah.
normal slashers would do, especially from the 80s and 90s. So
Hmm.
and it is definitely a slow burn in a lot of ways. It's like if Terrence Malick, made a horror film, or made a slasher
Hmm.
film. But that one I highly recommend. I
Okay.
mean, again, I loved it, and then it's actually my oldest daughter's favorite slasher film. So that's how much
Okay.
she loved it. And then you mentioned Terrifier, which is an interesting one. That's one that like I could just like cross talk about for a while because I fly a little mixed on those movies, but
I
overall,
don't
I'm
care
glad.
for them personally.
Oh, okay. I don't. There's things I like about them for sure. It's interesting. I just don't know. When you say there's no values, I don't think the director really has any. I don't think there's. I don't think he brings
Doesn't
values
sound like
to
it. He has a few lawsuits against him.
Oh
Yeah,
God.
I just think he's a pretty hollow dude,
Well, yeah, I
in
think he would
most
have
stuff.
to be, because that's the thing is it's not like people sit down and we're like, okay, I'm going
Yeah.
to write a good character that has these values. We don't think in those terms necessarily. We just sit down and we write kind of from
Yeah.
within ourselves. And so, yeah, Terrifier does not strike me as a movie that was written by somebody who has a whole lot of personal values or really thinks deep
Well,
about much of anything, you
and
know?
I'd say I'm not saying Sean Cunningham is a moral, like I don't know, he was like a real moral dude. I think he just was out for the money too, right? Like,
Hmm.
and maybe this guy that made Terrifier actually, there's something more there. I don't really know, but yeah, but I think that's like what he's going for is pulling away any type of like moral connection at all. You know what I mean? Where
Right.
you're just there's no relief anywhere on any of those things. But
Hmm.
and then what was the other one? Shit, Terrifier, In a Violent Nature. We mentioned Clown in a Cornfield. There was one more that I was going to name, and I'm totally blanking out. If somebody else wants to pick up, and I'll think of mine.
Well, now, Josh, I know that you are not wild about In a Violent Nature. Is that true?
Yeah, and maybe it's for the opposite reasons for Kyle. I like the killer, and there are some cool kills in it. Then there's like some kills that are very weak. It's really weird. Sometimes you get these really crazy over the top kills.
There's an all timer in it.
And then there's like these very off screen kills are just very basic ones. But my biggest problem were the characters themselves. They're all unlikable. There's not a good character amongst them. The final girl does nothing in this movie. And there's this sequence in the last 20 minutes of the movie, at least it seemed like 20 minutes, where she gets picked up by this lady driving a truck. They have this conversation, and that's it. Nothing happens. I kept on waiting for the killer to come out of nowhere and kill her, because I was like starting to think, well, maybe this lady is like in cahoots with the killer, and I probably gave up too much of it, and it's just like, what are we trying to do here? And it's just
definitely
didn't work for me.
It's definitely a deconstruction of
but sometimes you can overthink these. Sometimes I think with slasher movies, people are like overthinking it. They're not that complicated. It's killer, final girl, final guy, whatever. Try to make you have a array of different characters. Some are likable, some are not. It's not rocket science. It's like making a hamburger. You grill the patty, you put it on a bun, put whatever condiments you want on it, and go for it. You know,
But see, have you guys?
That's
do you guys feel that way too? With like newer horror movies, do you guys feel like that? Like the likability, is it really just that we're getting too old to relate to them, or is it true that the likability of the characters has declined? Because I feel so badly for young generations watching horror movies now, especially slashers. When I do see modern slashers, I'm like, I don't like a single person in this movie. Where are the people that are likable? Where's the people that are, where's the kindness and the compassion and the good humor and the, like, you can be relatable and also still be like not a trash person. And I feel like there's a lot more trash among the characters.
I feel like some of the issue is that I don't know. It's weird, but I think it kind of started with Joker, and I know that's not a horror movie, but I think the sympathetic villain kind of made it to where now they want the audience to relate to the villain instead of the actual characters.
Which is a very interesting point.
Because you really relate more with Pearl than any of the other characters in that movie.
Yeah, well, and that's
what she goes through.
That would also explain why I'm not all that wild about the Pearl and Maxine movies, because you're right. Pearl is the main focus and Pearl is the villain. So that's interesting. See that? Thank you for saying that, because that's food for thought for me. So thank you. Yeah.
I don't know if it's necessarily.
But you can make a. I think back to Candyman. You could say there's an example of having somewhat of a sympathetic villain a little bit, if you want to consider Candyman a villain. I suppose he is, but they pull that off so well because they used it in the now I'm forgetting the word, but they used it in the construct of social commentary, though.
Yeah.
And maybe that's something that where some of these movies, maybe they did that well in Joker. I quite frankly thought it was a little overrated, but I thought I
did not like Joker.
Well, that's the whole premise for Saw. Like, you don't like any of the quote unquote victims or characters.
True.
You like Jigsaw because you identify with what he's doing, but one could argue, is he the villain or is he not the villain?
See, Jigsaw's a really interesting character because Jigsaw is obviously he is a bad person, but he also has this strict moral code that he adheres to. And then later on down the line, you have characters like Detective Hoffman and Amanda who do not have those values. They don't have that moral code, and they come in and they corrupt what he's doing. Correct. So it is a really interesting fucking ethics study. The Saw franchise, I think, is just a well of fascination. I wish I was writing about more than just slasher movies, because I would really love to explore the Saw films from a virtue ethics perspective. But I really hope this isn't coming across as me being like we should all be good people with rainbows and teddy
Well,
bears, and
we know what you're
it's
getting. There's a big difference between being relatable, but still
Mhm.
being somewhat maybe flawed or what
Yeah.
have you, or not
Mhm.
Right,
being
right.
perfect. And maybe
Well, yeah,
that's
and
part
I
of
know
it.
that
I don't know.
everybody has like a different definition of what it is to be a good person, but we've also, for the most part, throughout all of human history, at least since Aristotle, we've all sort of genuinely agreed on what like the core basic human values are that keep us, from killing each other. And like we're I'm noticing that we are seriously starting to forget some of them, and that's why I'm really curious to see how that's reflected in our horror films. And so far, hearing about like In a Violent Nature, seeing the Terrifier franchise, what Skyla said about like X and Pearl and Maxine, it does seem like there is some pretty solid evidence that we're starting to kind of drift away from what were always sort of considered these sort of like universally agreed upon core values. So it's just interesting to me, and I'm really excited to keep getting into it. So I just appreciate the
Oh, I
recommendations.
just
And
thought about one more slasher film, and I don't know if you've
yeah.
seen it yet because I've talked about it before in the past. But Christmas, Bloody Christmas.
Oh yeah, we talked about it. I haven't seen that one. I want to. I can't
Also,
Oh,
believe
is
there's a
that
Christmas
the
slashers
animatronic
movie that I
Santa?
haven't seen. Hmm?
there's
Is that the
also a
animatronic
Wonderful
Santa
Knife.
one you wrote about, Josh?
Yeah, last
Yeah.
last December.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and
I haven't
Skylar.
seen it.
Yes, It's a Wonderful Knife. Yeah, that's another
Yeah.
one.
See,
I
that
saw
that
it in
was
the
Mhm.
one
first
that I
theater.
turned off after 15 minutes
Oh, it's a wonderful
because
night.
once again, I hate all these people. I'm gonna go watch
Yeah.
something else. I'm gonna watch
It was
Black
awful.
Christmas
But
I
well,
did
instead.
that
not
was
like
weird
it.
too. I was thinking about more slashers, and I was like, wait, all of like modern slashers are like kind of holiday related. Like
I
Twilight,
mean, to be fair,
Thanksgiving.
that's just
Thanksgiving,
slashers.
That's
Wonderful
what I was going
Knife.
to
I was
say.
like, these are all holidays.
Yeah, like
What is
Thanksgiving and yeah.
you wrote about Silent
I
Night?
enjoyed It's a Wonderful Knife. The only thing that I didn't like about it is that maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong because I'm wrong a lot, but like I really think Justin Long had some kind of plastic surgery right before he made that movie. Like he got a facelift,
Yeah.
and I don't know
Maybe
why
that's
he
what
did
put
it.
me off.
It really freaked me out, man. I couldn't look because I love Justin Long, and I couldn't even look at him because he looked so, like a completely different person, and you could tell that he'd had some kind of surgery done, like like a facelift. He had a facelift, and I was like, I can't look at you, Justin. And if Justin Long is in a movie and I can't look at him, I don't want to watch that movie, So anyway, that was my 2 cents about It's a Wonderful Knife. That has nothing to do with virtue ethics,
But
but
you all are right. It's still meta, speaking to the genre, which has been done a million times. It's holiday movies,
hmm
Silent Night. It's a Wonderful Knife. It's Thanksgiving, which is actually pretty solid. I like that one. Okay.
hmm
Um, or it's like to the point of like It's a Wonderful Life. They take like a Freaky Friday, or they take
Oh
Groundhog's
yeah.
Day,
hmm
and they take some type of like supernatural concept that comes from another movie, whether it's a Christmas movie, whether it's a comedy, whatever, and they incorporate it into like a slash, the Blumhouse formula, basically. So,
hmm
Hmm.
and honestly, I don't find a lot of those very interesting. Like, I think the
hmm
slasher genre really, when it started to wind down in the 80s and then come back in the 90s from like we're going to speak to this genre, we're going to deconstruct it, it's metafictional, all that, like that made sense. But now I don't know, other than In a Violent Nature, that's the one I've seen that does something different than what we're seeing, that is not really pretty similar to Scream 6 and Scream 7 and that kind of shit. You know what I mean? Like we're still in the world of Scream, and we're in the
Yeah.
world of of like concept theft, which isn't a
Yeah.
bad thing. Like Die Hard on a train, or Die Hard on a boat, or Groundhog's Day
hmm
into this and Groundhog's Day into that. Like that's okay. Those things are fun, but I don't get excited about those. You know what I mean? Like the slasher genre, as much as like we all love it, it's just hard to. I don't know. It's hard to make. It's hard to keep that going. I think in some way you can be like, oh shit, this, and just like purely veg out and have a fun time for like a one night watch. But none of these I'm returning to, like, Jason Lives or Halloween
Right.
4, or, like,
Exactly.
yeah, you know what I mean? It's not Halloween, the return of Michael Myers or something like that. So,
So that's
and
and that's
honestly,
really
like,
interesting. I think it raises some important questions about the future of the slasher subgenre. And is it true? Right now I'm reading a book. It's called The Anatomy of the Slasher Film. It's all right. It's not my favorite book I've ever read. But the author has some interesting ideas. And one of the things that he did was he separated the slasher subgenre out into three eras. He said you had the, I can't remember what he calls the three eras, but basically the 80s, and then he also the 90s, and then the 2000s. And the 2000s
really,
is what he called the neo.
Didn't you have to go back though to the 70s?
He did start in 1974. So it's like 1974 to 1988 or something is what he calls the first era, and then 89 to 2000 or 2001 is the second era. I think he ends with Final Destination is the end of that era. And the beginning of what he calls the neo-slasher era, which ended in 2013, which is when the book came out. See, this is my problem. Like, even the books I'm using to read all stop in the 2010s because there aren't many studies being done on slashers anymore. Nobody's really talking about them because they're all referential cash grabs. And so what does that mean for the future of the slasher subgenre? That's another question that I think is important to ask.
There's a documentary on Shudder that takes a different subgenre per episode, and they talk about slashers. So check, maybe you might get more recent stuff.
Yeah.
From there.
Do you remember what it's called?
No. Oh, I'll.
You said it's on
I'll look it up and
Shudder?
I'll DM you. But yeah,
okay, thank you. I
Shudder. They have a
appreciate
couple
it.
documentaries,
Yeah,
and I
that'd be really.
believe
I didn't mean to just like use you guys as like research tools, but
no, that's what we're here for.
You have to put us in the acknowledgments of your book, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah. Definitely. Sorry, Skyla, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, have you watched the remake of Silent Night, Deadly Night from 2025?
I have not. Should I?
Yes, because I think it would be really interesting for the whole ethic thing, because they take a very different direction from the original movie.
Okay.
And for what you're talking about, I think it would be really good.
Okay, cool. I really appreciate it. Because, obviously that is the focus of my research is on the ethics, on the characters. It doesn't really matter if the movies are good or bad. It doesn't matter if they're cash grabs or not, because they're still being written by human beings and therefore still reflective of the people who wrote them and the time in which they're living. So, like, even cash grab trash movies are relevant from an ethical standpoint. So, like, I don't care if the movie's good or bad. I didn't want to watch that remake because I love the original so much, but I will happily watch it because if you think it's relevant, it's going on my list. Thank you.
The remake itself also isn't really bad, to be honest. I would kind of see it more as a spiritual, not successor, but maybe inspired in spirit by Silent Night, Deadly Night, because it's very different in what they do with it. But I think it'll help a lot with that concept of a modern slasher with ethics, because you're right. I feel like a lot of modern slashers don't really have people that are good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it just feels like being a good person. And again, I know that is a really broad term. And what a good person is subjective, especially now more than ever. Like, I get that. And so I don't mean to just like harp on that. And that's something I'm going to have to explore as I'm writing the book is, define what a good person is, blah, blah, blah. But like being a good person used to be a paramount quality for especially the heroes, but also some of the victims in every slasher movie. Like, and if you think back to the slasher movies of the 80s, you can easily pick out, like, who were your favorite characters from Prom Night? Who were your favorite characters from My Bloody Valentine? Friday the 13th? We all have favorite characters from those movies. And there is a reason why we love them. And even if your favorite character is the killer, that's a whole other discussion. But I mean, like, who's your favorite final girl? Most of us have an answer right away. And I would be very surprised if the majority of people didn't say final girls from 30, 40 years ago. Because what are the best final girls of the last 15, 20 years? And what makes them a character that we want to root for? And, what qualities make us want to root for them? Or is it just that they're a human being put in a terrible situation? I don't know. There's a lot swimming in my head. I'm running on 2 hours sleep, so I apologize. But
well, you're doing really well for someone on 2 hours of sleep. Like, you must got a recharge on the batteries.
I just wonder if the slasher genre survives future generations. It's so embedded in you know, the youth of baby boomers in the 70s, Gen X in the 80s, and then moving into millennials, Gen X and millennials through the 90s. And but as it's moved into, generations beyond millennials, like will it be, can you excavate like enough relevancy for it to connect with, and Scala, you're the best person to answer this honestly, but like is it, do people do like, does Gen Z give a shit really about this genre? You know what I mean? That aren't like esoteric film, film heads that love going back and like watching old films and stuff like that, but just
Um,
like commonly, like,
yeah, I would say so.
is that
I
audience,
mean,
are you going to Scream 7? Like, is that because, like, to my
that's a
daughter
different
who,
question, I feel.
okay,
Yeah, that's a very different question. I agree.
yeah.
Because I didn't care
Talk
about going
about
to see the
horrible.
new
Oh
Scream at
gosh.
all.
Well, and I just
Well,
mean, well, and not even just like in the spirit of like, because like, okay, so like my youngest daughter who's 16, like she loves the Scream movies,
Hmm.
and like she goes, she is, likes them all, but like, is that with her, I guess with Gen Alpha, like, did they, does this, is there going to be, is my daughter going to take her kid to a slasher film one day? Is she going to take her kid to Scream 13 or whatever, like,
right.
or
Well, and it's
whatever,
interesting too. It's interesting too when you think about it, because if it does, if the genre, if the subgenre does kind of fizzle out, like if this is the death cry, if all these reboots and remakes are the death cry of slashers, and we're not going to see them again in another, let's say, 20 years, are there any other film genres that are just dead, that have just hit a
um,
wall that they've never been able to
Comedies, we
recover
just
from?
talked about that earlier.
Well,
what is,
Comedies.
yeah,
Well,
noir. I mean, noir is a dead, that's why
noir
everything
is a
now is
really good example. Yeah,
neo,
mhm.
you know?
because
So you
Here's
have,
we
what
very
I
these,
rarely see. Yeah. Hmm.
Here's one
yeah,
thing. My son is 16, so he's about the same age as your daughter, and his favorite slashers are essentially some of mine. His favorite
yeah, same.
Halloween movie of all time is Halloween 2. That's his favorite.
Okay.
He likes the
Mhm.
Friday the 13th films. He loves the Hatchet films.
Right.
It was so funny when he got to meet Kane Hodder at convention. Instead of picking up a Jason photo to have autographed, he picked a Victor Crowley one to have autographed. He thinks the newer movies are okay, but he still thinks so. Maybe what this younger generation is going to do is they're going to go back and really look at those older ones from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and maybe if they ever become filmmakers in the future, they're going to rely maybe
Yeah.
on those on those outlines and make
I,
sure
Right.
that we have. So maybe there is still a future in slashers. I kind of think there is. It's too profitable not to be.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to die. I don't think it's going to completely die. I will say that and you very well may be right, Josh, as far as like it like spread across the land, as far as, you know, but your son and my daughter have two dads who are like horror guys, right? Like,
Hmm.
love,
Right.
so they probably are drawn to that because we've edged them that way since they
Right.
were little on some level. And I guess that's my question upon that is like, do the mainstream kids who like parents don't give two shits about any of this, like,
That's a
do
good
they
point
find it?
too.
Yeah, do they find it?
Right.
Um,
So I think it's the thing is, I feel like horror slashers are mainstream now.
Yeah.
So it's very like if you go into a hot topic, that's all you see. You see
Hmm.
Jason, Freddy,
yeah,
Michael. So it's but do they watch them? I don't know. They
That's a
probably
good
Right.
play
point.
them on like
it's
Dead
like
by
Nirvana
Daylight.
t-shirts.
Yeah. Or a
Yeah.
Rolling
It's like
Stones
it's
T-shirt.
like Gen Alpha walking around in Nirvana t-shirts. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it's like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
But I
Yeah.
do know there are still like people my age who care about the genre a lot. My
Mhm.
Yeah,
best friend,
That's good
she
to
cares
know.
about the genre. I care about the genre. I try to watch new movies and old movies. Like, there's a lot of movies on my watch list that I definitely need to watch.
Hmm.
Um, and like kind of what you were saying, Josh, I'm literally learning how to do screenwriting right now. And when I think about writing my own movies, I'm like, oh, how can I kind of take inspiration from these old slasher films or these old horror films by but
I got a
also
few
put like a new
stories you can
twist.
adapt because I hate screenwriting. Tried it once. I'm like, I'm never doing that again.
No, but that's really interesting. I'm glad, I mean, I like to think that slashers will live forever because I do love the subgenre, and I think that there is a lot more you can do with it. But also the fact that it's formulaic, the fact that it's simple and, somewhat predictable is a huge part of why I do love it. And I feel like it
Mm-hmm.
takes a lot of pressure off of filmmakers because it's like all you really have to do is just come up with a killer, come up with a group of kids, or people or whoever. They don't necessarily have to be teenagers, but like come up with a group of people, come up with a setting. Bam. You got yourself a recipe for a fun, quick, usually relatively inexpensive, at least compared to other films, horror movie that will entertain people. And so like I think that I think that it should be around for a lot longer. But like what Kyle said, noir, we see very few noir films anymore. We also don't see nearly as many creature features as we used to, and so maybe we are going to see like a gradual dwindling of slasher films, and it'll the 80s to the 2000s are going to be that golden age, and we'll never be able to get that back. I don't know.
I don't think horror in general, and I believe this, I don't think we'll ever, horror as a genre will never achieve what it did in the 70s and 80s. And that's
Yeah.
just because they were the first, those filmmakers from about Toby Hooper, Argento, Fulci, and all of them, and later on Carpenter and Craven, they were able to push boundaries that they weren't able to do in previous decades.
Hmm.
And you can only push them so far to where it becomes mundane. You
Right.
can
Yeah.
only do so much gory stuff in Terrifier before it just becomes routine.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Right.
Agree.
don't. Every
Yeah.
once in a while, a movie comes up that will hit a nerve, at least with me. The Substance hit a
Hmm.
nerve because it used body horror as a way to say something, much like Cronenberg would do in the 80s. But it's a
Hmm.
rarity. Sinners
Hmm.
says something very deep as well.
Sinners,
So
that
you're
was the
only
first
going to
time
get
I'd
so.
seen, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
In fact, I rewatched Sinners last weekend, and you know how sometimes you watch a movie and don't like it as much as the first one. This one liked way better than I did the first time on my first time watch. So I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, good. I know this is a keeper now for sure because I
It was
loved
definitely
it.
the first horror movie that I think has made me cry in like 10 years. Like new horror movie that I've never seen
Right.
before.
Yeah.
I
Uh-huh.
didn't expect to freaking cry. You know what I mean? I was just like, this is beautiful. This is a movie. This
Mhm.
is a damn movie.
Yeah.
And it feels like it
Mm-hmm.
was just made by people who had a story they wanted to tell and they didn't care whether it made money or not. Which that
Mm-hmm.
is a huge part of fucking slasher movies, or not just slasher movies either,
Mhm.
but horror movies of the 80s, a lot of them had that vibe of we just have this really cool story idea and we have this crew and we probably won't make a whole lot of money, but let's just make it anyway. That was such a fucking vibe
That
in the
was
80s.
Sam Raimi with Evil Dead.
Yeah, it
You know.
was. And we
Right.
got some incredible films out of it. And that's what Sinners felt like to me, was a movie where it's like these people just really, this group of people really wanted to tell this fucking story. And they didn't really care what happened, you know? And look what happened. It won Oscars and shit. So,
Mhm.
that's the
Yeah.
kind of, so it's just so interesting. It's ironic because people always think of slasher movies in particular as the cash grabbiest of horror films. It doesn't get any cash grabbier than slashers. However, that's also where the best happy accidents can occur, when people really just make them because they really just want to. I don't know.
Right.
I think
Just very interesting.
there's always going to be a, like, Terrifier is that for a generation now, right? Like,
Hmm.
um, Art the Clown is this generation's, slasher killer. He's the most iconic, maybe besides Sam, in the last 25, 26 years to come along. That's like conventions and Spirit Halloween and all
Hmm.
these things.
Yeah.
And then something else, even if this dies down, there'll be another Terrifier. There'll be another. I think there'll be another iconic character come up again. Will it be one we give a shit about? Will it be even further away from Terrifier? One that probably none of us love, right? I don't think there's any just like complete terrify our heads here or whatever. But and I find a lot about those movies interesting. But will there be, and Pearl? You know, Pearl probably falls into that is on some level too. But like something will probably crop its head up like the Hydra, you know. But it's just like, will we care about it as we keep going on and get further away from the stuff we loved, you know? So,
well, and I think part of it too is that like things that scared other generations in the 80s and 90s are a lot different now for Gen Z. Like, I think that's why Backrooms really hit for a lot of people, because it was like, oh, he also can't get the job he wants with the degree he has, and he also is poor and basically homeless and going through all this stuff. And I think it was more like, yeah, he's like me, and they were seeing themselves in the back rooms.
Right. And that's exactly right. Like, that's exactly why I'm very curious to kind of tap into newer horror films, because I have no idea what is being reflected about young people today in horror films, because I never watch new horror films. It's a problem that I have, you know? And so how can I write about society and their virtues if I have no idea how they're being reflected through, you know, horror films? So that's why I want to watch some of the newer ones. So I'm excited to watch them. And I really appreciate everybody's recommendations. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. Okay. Well, before, I know we're running late, but first foremost, I wanted to say this because I know the Oscars aren't going to mention a memorandum thing or memoriam, because they wouldn't even do it for Tony Todd. But earlier this week, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, we lost Reggie Bannister. The heart and soul, basically, the Phantasm series. Of course, ironically enough, the character he played was Reggie. So, kind of an interesting thing. So, he, of course, was battling, I believe, dementia, wasn't it? And was
he had Parkinson's disease.
Parkinson's, that's right.
His Parkinson's developed. He had dementia. I believe the dementia was a complication from his Parkinson's disease.
Yeah, same thing happened to my mother-in-law years ago. But, so, you know, I watched the first two Phantasms earlier this week, and you talk about a movie that no one could ever replicate. I mean, that's such a unique, different movie, but that character Reggie, might be the most underrated, underappreciated protagonist in a horror film, because he doesn't get nowhere near as much love, at least outside of our little bubble anyway. So I just wanted to just mention that and give a hats off to Reggie wherever he's at now.
Can I tell a little story real quick?
Sure, because I know your boyfriend, that's his favorite, that's his franchise.
So like how I feel about Reanimator, that's how Liam feels about the Phantasm franchise. And I had never seen any of the Phantasm movies when we first started dating 6 years ago. I think I may have caught the first Phantasm on TV once or twice, but I had never sat down and watched it, and I'd definitely never seen the sequels. And so on our first anniversary, we spent the entire day watching all 5 Phantasm movies, and you know how horror fans are when we talk. It took us the entire day to watch them because we kept pausing for him to tell me stuff about the movies and sharing the stories and stuff. It was a great day. It was like one of my favorite days of the first year that we were together. So for our second anniversary here, I'm going to pick you guys up and show you. For our second anniversary, I commissioned this piece of art from our friend Mal Simmons. I don't know if you can really see it.
A little bit.
So it's us watching Phantasm movies together, and Reggie is right there in front. Yeah. Reggie is our favorite character, and so he's there in front. So anyway, we found out he was suffering from dementia. His wife, Gigi, posted about it and said, we want you guys to send him fan mail. Like, that's what she posted on IG, and she was like, Reggie is really sick, and can you please send him letters? Like, let him know you're thinking of him. It would make him really happy. So what we did was we ordered a print of that work of art that I commissioned for Liam. We ordered a print, and then Liam wrote him this like really long letter about everything, like how much he meant to him and stuff. And it was about 4 months ago, I think, on his Instagram page, Gigi posted a picture of Reggie holding our print of our anniversary art and the letter that Liam wrote him and the tuning fork that Liam sent him. And he had this big smile on his face. And we cried for like a half an hour together that day after just for him, So yeah, when he died, it was a rough day. And so I was in the middle of finals. Liam's in the middle of composing for 2 films, and we put everything off and we just watched all 5 Phantasm movies again. Really gonna miss that man. We didn't know him personally, obviously, but like any, Phantasm fan, felt like he was a part of our lives. So I just really wanted to share that story. Thank you for letting me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. He'll be missed, but his legacy will live on, and so if anyone gets a chance to, has anyone here not seen any of the Phantasm movies?
Me.
Oh, Skylar, I recommend it. The first one is really, really
I know
good.
I need to.
You have homework, Skylar. I'm also I love the second one just as much as the first one. I'm a big Phantasm too. Yeah. I know it's
love
got
the
a
third
different.
one.
Old childhood, tall man. I mean, classic.
What was that, Kimberly? Sorry, you were breaking up.
I said it's my childhood. Watching
Oh,
tall man as a kid.
Yeah. Yeah, the second one is my least favorite just because they recast Mike, and I really missed OG Mike, but I love all of them as well. And the third one is my favorite because of Gloria, because of Rocky, because she's my favorite character in the whole Phantasm franchise. But I love all of them. I think they're all really good. Even Ravager, I don't care what anybody says. I think they're all great movies.
I need to watch Ravager. I still haven't seen that one.
I think it's great. And but if you watch it, you have to watch past the credits, because there is a mid-credit scene where they bring a character back, and it's awesome. And so you got to see it. But it is really rough, especially watching Ravager right after Reggie died. Reggie Bannister, the real Reggie Bannister, just died, is really rough because, all the Phantasm movies are about death, but Ravager in particular is kind of about Reggie and what he's going through. And it's really hard to watch Ravager right after Reggie Bannister died. So I would say give it some time before you watch it. Yeah.
Okay.
Skyla, it's maybe the craziest horror series. I mean, it's just so bizarre in a good way. Like, I mean that as a feature, not a bug. But it's like it's hard. If one of us were to describe the plot to you, you'd be like, "What in the?" So.
I don't think we could describe the plot. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's like Beetlejuice in a way. It's so singular in its weirdness, but it just works. It absolutely works.
There's nothing else like it.
Nothing like it. Nothing.
Yeah,
I
mean, I always see stuff about it because I know it's very much considered the classic. And I always see like the little metal silver balls.
Yeah.
But none of that would tell me what that's about at all.
No.
You'll watch it.
No, honestly, you can watch the movies themselves and you still really don't know what they're about. Like, you can watch them over and over again and still not. You're never going to have that moment of clarity with Phantasm where you're like, oh, that's what these movies are saying. That's never going to come.
You have to just get on its level and just go with it and have a good time. Really, that's.
Okay.
Trust me, I tried. I once, when I was much, much younger, I was partaking with Mary Jane and tried watching a couple of his films just to see if I could get any clarity out of it, and it didn't work. So.
Yeah, that's what Liam says. Is he says if you're asking a question while watching Phantasm, you're asking too many questions. That's his
It's just a vibe, man. It's just a vibe.
It's a vibe. Yeah.
It's a feeling.
It is, but it's awesome for sure.
Well,
anyway. Sorry.
Anyhow, well, hats off to Reggie Bannister. May rest in peace. Anyhow, I'm going to go real quick here. I just wanted to talk about some movies I really wish would get more love and people would watch. So I'm getting ready to add to your watch list. And I doubt any of you, maybe you've heard of some of them. Maybe I've talked about them before. Maybe one of them you've seen. But I'm going to go ahead and just go through 3 movies that I picked. I'm glad you talked about Scream because that was almost going to be one I was, or Stream because that was almost going to be one I was going to pick. But the first one, and this one I watched last night, and I was having a triple feature. This came out in 2023, and it's called God is a Bullet. And what I'll say about this movie, I mean, it's more of a thriller, I guess. Let's put it this way: it has the brutality of revenge and the dark grittiness of Death Wish, and maybe a little bit. And I'm talking the '74 version with Charles Bronson, mixed in with a little bit of the themes of the Liam Neeson movie Taken, a little bit, but it's not that. It's not some big action adventure film. But this movie stars, for any of you that watch Game of Thrones, Nikolaj Coster-Waldau, which I'm sure I just butchered his name, but he played Jaime Lannister in Game of Thrones. He stars in it, and also we just talked about her earlier. Micah Monroe is also in it. And what the movie's about is he just plays like just a normal desk sergeant at a local small town in California police department. Well, one night his ex-wife and her, I believe it's her boyfriend or husband, they're brutally murdered, and his teenage daughter is kidnapped. And it's by this satanic cult gang of some sorts that's heavily into, we would presume, prostitution, human trafficking, and that type of thing. I will preface, even though those things are, and we'll say, I don't think I can say this word on YouTube, but we'll say grape is insinuated. It's not really shown. So if you're squeamish about, in other words, you're not going to get a spit on your grave moment. Okay. But it is, so what happens is this girl played by Micah Monroe, she was once kidnapped by this gang and became part of this gang, but escaped. Once she hears about this, she reaches out to the character's name's Bob, pretty normal name, and says she can help him find her. So he has to go pretty much underground. He's pretty much a very straight-laced churchgoer, and she tells him, hey, if you want to blend in, we're going to have to dirty you up. So he gets them all tattooed. Jamie Foxx has a small part in this role as well, or small role in this movie. And it's, these two characters clash a little bit because they're both from different worlds, but eventually they, I would say, not romantically, but it's just a very interesting respect and friendship that develops as he's going to save his daughter, basically, from this gang. And I'll say this, the lead villain in this, character's named Cyrus, he is the most despicable villain you'll ever see in a movie. He doesn't even have to say or do anything. You take one look at him and God, I hate that guy already. I can't wait till he dies at the end. It is a long movie. I will say my one critique, there's a little subplot that happens that really isn't needed in the movie. It's about 2.5 hours long. Probably a little longer than it needs to be, but overall it's a very dark, it's a very dour movie. It's very brutal in many scenes as far as the violence goes. And, I think Kyle, you having a daughter, myself also having a daughter, can definitely relate to this movie in a lot of ways, because he basically, if we were in his shoes, we would probably go to those extremes as well. So, it's the only place it's streaming on right now is Pluto. I don't think it's on Tubi right now. It just got a limited release in 2023. It's one of those movies that should have had a much wider release. Wish it would have. I ended up getting a physical copy, as you could see, but that's one I would highly recommend to add to your watch list. Especially
it's called God is a Bullet?
Yeah, God is a Bullet.
Great title, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good title.
And there's a reason for it. It explains the title a little bit. Basically, the Micah Monroe character tells him, this thing right here, this bullet, is the only thing that's going to bring justice, essentially. So, yeah, that's one movie. Another one, and this is a vampire movie, and it came out in 2010. It's called Stake Land.
It's great.
Okay, so you've seen it.
I've seen
And
it.
okay, good. All right, so you guys have seen it.
That's a
Well,
good
for
one.
Yep.
those who haven't, it's if you like The Walking Dead, the best way to say it, it's like The Walking Dead only with vampires.
Yeah.
Um,
Better. I'd say it's
Yeah, I
better
would
than
say
Walking
well,
Dead.
yeah,
better.
yeah, kind of like vampires better than zombies anyway. But it's for a low budget movie. It does not feel like it. The performances across the board are great. I think the lead is his name is Nick Dimitri. He
Yeah.
plays a character called Mister, and he's just this. That's all he's referred to as Mister. He's just this hardened vampire slayer. The whole world's now been overrun by vampires, and he's just trying to kill as many of them. And he rescues this one teenage kid from after his family's been massacred by vampires. Takes him with him, teaches them how to fight vampires, and along the way they take a few other scragglers along. Kelly McGillis, who most of us Gen Xers would know, played Tom Cruise's girlfriend in Top Gun, but was also in Ty West's Innkeepers. And she she's like an old nun that is almost assaulted by these group of religious fanatics who believe the vampires are a blessing from God, something along those lines. They rescue her. They come across Danielle Harris, who's also in it. She plays a young pregnant woman. We don't know what happened to the father. We would assume maybe killed or became a vampire as well. And then you get this Marine or ex-Marine that joins it. So you have this little family dynamic that develops through the movie. It's not necessarily a happy ending. A lot of these characters we get to know do die. I won't say too much more for those who haven't seen it. But it's got, my only critique is I wish we could have had a little bit more time with those characters until some of them started dying off. But yeah, that's a movie that doesn't get talked a lot about, and I think people should check out. This one is on Tubi. Of course, once again, I do have the physical copy of it because some of these movies I just want to go ahead and own because you never know when they're going to disappear or rearrange. So, and the final movie, and this one's probably the lesser known of all of these, but this came out in 2004. It's a movie I wrote a post about a long time ago, but it's called Lightning Bug.
Oh, never heard of
And
that one.
this movie is not so much a horror movie as it is a movie about a horror fan. This movie was directed by a gentleman by the name of Robert Hall, who had previously done a lot of makeup effects on a lot of movies and TV series, including Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And he kind of bases this movie a little bit on his own life living in rural Alabama, where he's a teenager. He has a younger brother. He has a single mom, played by Ashley Lawrence, actually, from Hellraiser. Eventually gets a girlfriend, played by Laura Prepon, I think, played Donna in that 70s show. And he's basically has aspirations. He makes all of his own masks, all of his makeups, and all that stuff. He's heavily into it. He convinces this old man to open up the old haunted house because he wants to run the haunted house for the upcoming Halloween. And of course, there's some obstacles because they're in a rural town in the South, so there's these fundamentalist church that think he's a devil worshiper and all that stuff. All the typical stigmatisms that we sometimes have run into. Unfortunately, his mother marries a not so great guy. If you could think of, like, I don't know how many of you ever saw Sling Blade with Billy Bob Thornton, but if you remember the Dwight Yoakam character Doyle, he's like that, only 10 times worse. Okay.
Oh God.
So there are themes of domestic abuse. One particular scene, though, I really loved is when his mom's getting beat up by this guy, and he stands up and punches him right in the nose. And like most bullies, they back off a little bit. So he's dealing with a lot of this stuff, and eventually he does get out of the town and is able to fulfill his dream. But it's more of a coming of age drama. But I think for all of us horror fans, it's a movie that everyone should watch at least once. It's one of the few movies as an adult that made me tear up towards the end. Unfortunately, and this is a disgrace, really, the only place you can find this streaming anywhere, if you go into YouTube and type in Lightning Bug 2004 full movie, you can probably find it there. That's how I watched it the first time. It's not on any other streaming platform than that. I end up purchasing the physical copy on eBay for like less than $10. So, and I would say it's worth the money. On another note, a couple years ago when I went to a horror con and met Ashley Lawrence, she was probably so used to always people talking to her about Hellraiser. I told her how much I love Lightning Bug, and she lit up like a lightning bug because she was shocked that I hadn't seen the movie and must have talked to me about 15 minutes about the movie. I took it that it's probably next to Hellraiser, her second most proudest movie to have done. So, which also leaves also with Steak Land. I did the same thing with Danielle Harris when I met her a few years ago. Go, hell, I really love Steak Land, and she too, because probably tired of talking about Halloween's 4 or 5 and all that. Like, oh, okay, a movie that no one ever asked me about. Which something to remind if you meet your favorite celebrity, bring up a movie that no one talks about that they were in. They probably enjoy talking to you about it. But those are the 3 movies. So it sounds like some of you have seen Steak Land. I kind of figured that might be the movie that people had seen, maybe not so much the others. So that's my takes. If you guys have any comments, go right ahead.
No, I remember you recommending Lightning Bug once. I put it on my watch list.
You'll
So I
I've
definitely
never heard of it.
Not many people have, and that's the shame too. And unfortunately, the director Robert Hall, I think he did a few other movies, but he passed away in 2021. Not sure of what. He wasn't very old, maybe a year older than me. I don't know for what though. I've never been able to find that out. So it must have been something the family decided to keep private. Also, the soundtrack to that movie is really good. It's the original music. I think his brother actually composed the music. His brother has his own rock band or something, and the music's just really good too throughout. It's there are some terrifying tense scenes in there, but it's a movie that's going to make you laugh at times. It's going to make you angry at times, and it's going to probably make you cry perhaps. So those are 3 big recommendations of movies that no one's probably even heard of other than Steak Land. Sounds like people have heard of that one. So,
Well, thanks for the recommendations, Josh.
yeah, I'm happy to add to your watch list again. But anyhow, well, I think that's it for tonight. We've been going strong there for a lot longer than I thought we would. But I know, Molly, you're probably going to like doze off for like 12 hours now. I can see
I'm
you
not
winding
even
down.
sure if I'm still awake right now. I could already be sleeping and dreaming, you guys. I don't know.
Just
It's
me
the
too. My eyes are gonna cross pretty soon.
Especially for Skyla and Kimberly, because they're an hour ahead of us. So that's why I wanted to get them in first here in case they dozed off there and go to a central time zone people last. So
It was so nice talking with you guys tonight. This was fun. I liked
Yeah.
the whole pick your own topic thing. We got to talk about all kinds of stuff. This was really fun.
Yeah.
yeah, well,
Absolutely.
thanks for
I
joining
agree.
us, everyone. After I end this, stay on for a few more minutes, and then we'll